across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good afternoon to you. Just gone 4 o'clock. We're live across the UK as ever. Talk Drive is on in the searing heat. God, it's hot, isn't it? I told the story just then with Ian about the bottle of water ended up in my crotch. We've loads to talk about, but let's just start in a slightly light-hearted way. What are you doing to keep cool today? I mean, honestly, it is... I'm not one of those people, by the way, who goes, oh, it's too hot. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. But it is warmer than Dar es Salaam, apparently, out there. So, honestly, 87222, start your message with the word talk. What's your tip for keeping cool? But don't throw a bottle of water over your crutch on public transport. It's a killer. You can also, as ever, contact the show. The A-team are in. Jodie taking your calls, 0344 499 1000. Ryan, who's come out with the greatest word salad ever today. He's involved in this sort of community radio station. We won't go into it. And somebody said to him, are you still involved? And he went, from a managing director's point of view, board of directors, you know. So if you do send a WhatsApp today about a story, I think you should start it with, oi, managing director. That'd be nice. It's 0344 499 1000, normal phone or WhatsApp, and of course those text messages 87222. Let's start your message with the word talk. There's so much to talk about. Today we discovered that there's a record 8 million people on benefits. This is universal credit, and what shocks me is, I mean, this has gone up by 1 million in 1 year. What's really interesting is that 46% of people, so nearly 4 million people, are in the no work requirement group, which means they're not asked to find a job, often because of long-term sickness, caring duties, being over pension age, or having a baby under 1. Right, OK. So there's 4 million people that can't or won't work. I'm a big fan of the benefit system. I've said it many times, for people who can't help themselves. But I do think that we have created, sadly, through our own generosity and softness, in more ways than one, a system that becomes not a choice, but there are people who, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. There are people screwing the system. It's like the migrant situation, isn't it? Let's come to Britain, because Britain will do more for you than anybody else. It has to stop. I talked to Ian about this story. We only just sort of picked up on this one. I read about this the other week. Horrible, horrible human being. Salman Iftar's, I hope his name is correct, because that's as much as I'll do for him. I'll call him the plain thug. This gentleman got inebriated or angry or whatever on a flight and threatened to gang rape, this is genuinely true, you might have seen it already, an air hostess, and was given 15 months. He threatened to gang rape an air hostess in front of other shocked passengers, including children. And fair play to the Shadow Home Secretary, Chris Philp, has referred the sentence to the Attorney General for being unduly lenient. That is total two-tier justice, says Chris Philp. So Reformer said as well today, of course it's two-tier justice. Lucy Connolly, some hurty words that were... We're not condoning the words that Lucy Connolly came out with, but we'll talk about her forevermore on this show. She got 31 months. So then you ask yourself, and this is where people will go, he's off again and it's only 4:05. Because she was making comments about a certain section of society, she got 31 months. He is allowed, Salman Athar, to say, I'm going to gang rape an air hostess, and he gets 15 months. I would say that is blatantly two-tier. What do you make of that? 0344 499 1000. Today, Sir Keir Starmer, another 50,000 migrants arrived since he became Prime Minister. That's more and quicker than the useless Sunak and the flop that was Boris Johnson. He's not got a clue, this man. Not a clue. And just to give you another idea of why I'm going to go right for that idiot today, he refuses, if you're a shopkeeper in Britain, you know you're having it hard anyway. I mean, the costs are a nightmare, your rents have gone up, customers don't have the dosh anymore, and then just to make you feel really good, some person, I'm going to say scumbag, can come into your shop and nick up to 200 quid's worth and the bloody police won't turn up. Well, Starmer has decided that calling people scumbags, even if they're shoplifters, is not the sort of language that's appropriate. So if you're held up in your shop tomorrow night and they nick stuff that you've worked hard to buy to sell to people at a very slight profit, don't worry, the Prime Minister doesn't give a toss. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. Am I ready to go with this? Are we going? We say a very good... I thought she was ignoring me. I've been traumatised for 3 weeks. I mean, you know, you help make somebody and then they spend their entire time in the arms of Kevin O'Sullivan. Isabel Oakeshott, good afternoon.
I thought you'd been on holiday, Jeremy. I mean, I just
Devastated.
assumed I hadn't heard from you. I'd had no invitations.
I've messaged you, I've called you, I've No, I haven't. I've been on holiday. How are you anyway?
Absolutely nothing. Well, I'm looking out I'm on the Isle of Wight and I'm looking out and it's literally like the Mediterranean out there.
It's like the world tour with Isabel Oakeshott from Dubai to the Isle of Wight. Do you know my Isle of Wight joke? I did it yesterday. Do you know what's brown and steaming and comes out of cows?
You did this last year. You can't deal out the same jokes the whole time.
Mate, I haven't changed. I'm just a year older. Welcome. Lovely to have you. Hope you're having a great summer. Thank you for joining us and working at a time when everybody else seems to be on holiday except for you and me.
They're literally out swimming. I can see them. They're splashing around. There's people on boats. There's people
Are they boat people, though? Are they migrants or are they people
They're not
having...
migrants, no. And in fact, the Isle of Wight, as yet, doesn't have a migrant hotel. I am a bit worried that this may soon be coming.
Can you do me a favour and not confuse them like Rupert Lowe did last week? Because that was a bit of an own goal, wasn't it? Oh, look,
That
quick!
was hilarious. I mean, easy mistake to make, obviously.
Well, I was in Jersey, and this is genuinely too. I texted a picture or WhatsApped a picture to Mike Graham because suddenly 18 people in life jackets walked in. I was sitting on the beach with the kids, but it was the banana boat ride. I thought we were about to be invaded in Jersey. It was good fun. Darling, let's start with this unbelievably shocking, is it shocking? Probably not, figured out today. Britain's benefits bill is being fueled by a record 8 million people on universal credit, of which 46% are on this no need to work requirement group. Those of us who decide to take aim at this sort of figure and this sort of cost get all sorts of things thrown at us. People, you don't understand how difficult it is. So I want to nail my colours to the mast, and I'm sure you'd be the same. I'm really happy to pay tax for a system that helps people that won't help themselves. But this is surely another example of how we are doing more for people who don't do anything in return and take advantage of yet another system that's screwed in Great Britain.
I mean, can you imagine having a no need to work requirement, Jeremy? I mean, such a thing has never happened to me, that's for sure. And here's the thing, I mean, people should like work. Work should be a pleasure. Work is a good thing in itself, and particularly for people with mental health problems and addictions, having a routine, getting out the house, actually taking some pride and earning your way should be an incredibly positive thing. Correct. But we are making being on benefits a lifestyle choice. And I mean, it's a word I feel like I massively overuse on talk, but it's completely unsustainable to have this scale of welfare state. I was doing a BBC show on Friday, and someone...
that's like wind there. I don't know what's going on. What are you talking about? The BBC? What are you doing?
Well, I'm talking about them to show you the type of audiences that they have, because the live audience, we're all clamouring for extra income tax so that we can carry on paying, presumably, ever bigger welfare bills. That's not what the talk audience wants to see and hear, is it? You know, our listeners are completely bewildered by the extent of freeloading and free riding.
And I think that's a really brilliant point, but I think it goes beyond, and this is why I was saying yesterday, I think this is why reform is flourishing, and in fact anybody but the two parties, people are going, actually maybe I should be listening, because we've reached a point, haven't we, where I said it, you know, when things weren't as bad from a personal point of view, in terms of, and I've heard it from the Tories about COVID and all that, but when the cost of living wasn't so bad, when food wasn't 3 times the cost, when your energy bills weren't going through the roof, when your council tax wasn't being increased on almost a weekly and monthly basis, I don't suppose people were so aware. But now they go, hold on a second, not only are all of these people getting all of these things, but I've paid for that and I'm getting bugger all. And I think this is where we're at in this country. And I think whether it's the benefit system, whether it's the NHS, everything is seemingly geared to, we're obsessed, or our government is obsessed, or our institutions are obsessed with helping everybody else. And I'm going to be slagged off, but I don't care. you have to start at home, don't you? Because I think the British people have had a bellyful. I really do.
Well, I mean, I did a story on Talk a couple of weeks ago when no doubt you were sunning yourself somewhere glamorous.
Wow.
About a bunch of British veterans that have been evicted from their social housing up north. We don't know who that is to make way for. There is no evidence that it is for migrants, but of course, that's where people's suspicions lie. It's been totally denied. But this was a classic case of UK veterans. They all have, particularly vulnerable, they're all suffering from PTSD. And they face being made homeless. And what they see, and what so many of the rest of us see, is the prioritization for social housing of other groups, whether that's Afghans who, have come over supposedly because they were part of the British operation in Afghanistan, but somehow or other they can't seem to speak any
Are these
English.
the people that are arriving with 22 family members each? Yeah.
Well, they're also, I mean, I'm aware of a couple who've been fast-tracked and prioritised even though they can't speak a word of English. I mean, how does that figure? What services were they providing for the British military? It's all quite confusing, isn't it? Do you know what I think? I think that there's been such a dramatic mood change in this country in the last 6 to 9 months. After Labour came in, obviously there was a shock of Southport and a bunch of things went wrong quite quickly, but people did have some hope. They thought actually maybe things are going to get better. And what has happened is things have got so dramatically and spectacularly and very visibly worse.
Yeah.
And I think the country feels mutinous. I really do.
Do you know, I think that's a great word. And of course, whenever we do this, you and I talk, and other people on Talk, excuse the pun, people say to me, what are you trying to say? I'm not trying to say anything. I think the British people have long been the most morally upright and caring and sharing nation. I think the British people, as I said, have reached a point where they're going, I'm sorry, enough is enough. The indigenous population in this country, whether people like this or not, are 28th in the queue. And when you pay your taxes and when you live your life correctly, you don't break the law, and when you think that, I'm trying to bring up my kids and put food on the table and I'm being ostracised and I'm being forced to feel like a third-rate citizen, and that's when you need something to happen. And what I find astonishing, and of course, Reform, your partner, Richard Tice, they've managed to grab the mood of the electorate. Whether that works long term, I don't know. But I don't understand these politicians who seem to have not grasped that the Conservatives, Labour, all of them, sound bites aren't going to work anymore. Platitudes aren't going to work. One-liners. People are so mistrusting of the main two parties. I say the main two parties, they're not the main two parties. They are, I think your phrase bellyful's great. I think they just want to be heard and they want change. I really do believe that.
And it's just so many ridiculous examples, isn't it? I mean, this idea that you can't call shoplifters scumbags. I mean, that's the polite version of what I think about people.
But then if I was a shopkeeper, I want to say to Keir Starmer, I've worked all my life to build my shop. I spend my money to buy the products that people then come into my shop and buy. And you're telling me, you're a scumbag yourself, that somebody can come through the door, nick all that. Your police force won't turn up. But they did for apparently the far-right riots after Southport, and I'm supposed to take that on the chin, and if I dare to lash out, apparently I'm the one to blame. That's ridiculous, Isabel, ridiculous.
And just as ridiculous as it is that a bunch of people now face arrest for, frankly, heroically stopping a guy who was exposing himself on a train or a tube, and he was exposing himself. I mean, it would have been bad anyway, but there were children in the carriage. And for once, the British people on that train, or there may have been some heroic foreign nationals as well, actually got up and took a risk and did something. And they got that guy off the train and they effectively detained him until the police were able to come. And guess who's now facing trouble? It is those heroes that weren't prepared to just sit and do nothing. And what kind of message does that send out if those people now face arrest for assault? I mean,
I fear that we've reached a point where, I mean, we talk about common sense. I've done for years on this station. You're very much a part of that. I don't understand how these politicians. Very quickly, a voice note. Steve on scumbags, go.
As old two-tier Keir thinks that the word scum or scumbag is so abhorrent and disgusting, why was it all right for his potty mouth number two, Angelina, to call Tory scum? I suppose that's all right. Two-tier yet again, mate.
It's true. Let's talk about two-tier as well. I know you've got to go exactly at 4:20. This story is appalling. You know this Salman Ithiar, this plane thug? I believe he's. I could be wrong if he's Muslim. I don't really care. He threatened Isabel Oakeshott to gang rape an air hostess in front and full view and on camera of passengers and kids. And it's taken the Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp to raise this with the Attorney General. He got 15 months. Lucy Connolly languishes in jail, your partner Richard went to see her, for 31 months for words that we don't condone about the Muslim community. People look at that and they go, another example of two-tier justice. What country are we living in?
Well, I actually don't think either of them should have got any time in jail. I mean, these are horrible words and stupid things that they said. I don't know the detail of the case of the guy that made those threats to the air hostess, whether he was doing anything more than making stupid threats. I'm not in favour of putting people behind bars for saying daft things. But if you are going to put people behind bars for saying daft things, then you've got to do it in an even-handed manner. And it's quite clear that there's a huge discrepancy there. Lucy Connolly, I think, gets out any day now, and high time too. And it will be very interesting to see whether she's allowed to actually do any media to talk about her horrific experiences. I rather suspect that the authorities will attempt to gag her as a condition of her early release in yet another unfair punishment on this woman.
You have to go, is that right?
I unfortunately do have to go, but I am looking forward to more hot invitations from you.
Very quickly, before you go, Sadiq Khan humiliated today. Hurrah! As buried crime stats reveal that London is the epicentre of knife crime. All he's interested in is diversity and TfL and bloody pictures and trains don't arrive. Truth is, there's weapons, stabbings, knife crimes and drugs, and the man's doing nothing about it. 30 seconds on Sadiq Khan, because I love to bash him.
Because he's absolutely useless, isn't he? And I just loved it when Trump just said it as it is. I mean, he's just terrible at his job, isn't he? Yeah. How he keeps getting re-elected, I have no idea. You're a legend. We love having you on. Great to have you back. And yes, the invitations will come thick and fast. The brilliant Isabel Oakeshott talks international editor at 4:20. We're live across the UK. It's drive time. We're up for this today. If you want to send a voice note about anything, you have to start it with, "You're a managing director, Ryan, lad." You're a managing director, Ryan, lad. 0344 499 1000 gets you through to the wonderful Jodie, who's looking summery and brilliant and still waiting for Cameron to go down on one knee. You can text us 87222, start your message with the word talk. Like we said, you can talk about how our benefits bill in this country is through the roof. 8 million people now on universal credit, and all of them can't work, yeah? Do me a bleeding favour. That thug on the plane, he gets 15 months. Lucy Connolly gets 31 months. Great. Starmer will smash the gangs. You haven't. More migrants have come since you became Prime Minister than in our history. And this is a man, by the way, who won't use the phrase scumbags because, let's be honest, right, that's going to upset them. Sodom, that's what I say. Talk Drive.
Would you call shoplifters scumbags?
I'd call them scumbags, and worse. Yes, this is modern parlance for perfectly understandable what we think of people who are just stealing from other people. It's normal parlance, and to think that the police even thought it worthwhile to visit, quite frankly, I think speaks volumes about...
Perhaps if they bothered to visit when there was a scumbag shoplifter in the shop, then we wouldn't have such a problem.
Well, you're absolutely right.
It could have been tried when Starmer came in because they'd spent all that money, and it would have been some kind of way of saying to people, look, we don't really want you, and you're going to have to go back, and you're going to go to Rwanda if you're illegally landing in our country. But I think for me, the bottom line in all of this is that everyone
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
4:25 Tuesday afternoon in the searing heat. I just started the show by saying that I was on the train, I fell asleep, and my bottle of water went all over my crotch, and I had to walk down the platform at Waterloo looking like I'm an incontinent 60-year-old, which is genuinely true. How are you keeping cool today? Because it's bloody hot out there. 8722, an ice cream to the winner. Heather, have a cold drink and eat ice cream to keep cool. It's not the most unique suggestion, is it, Heather, to be honest? But there you go. Pete in Croydon. My tip to keep it cool is a wet flannel on your neck, and I'm not talking about Keir Starmer. Very good, I like what you did there. Dan from Tunbridge, lovely. He says, so Keir Starmer won't call shoplifters scumbags, but Angela Rayner can call Tories scum, and that's OK, and she's an old bag. Goodness me, he's gone for it. Jezza, says Zarina, not everyone is on holiday. I'm a teacher who can't afford one. No, listen, I'm not going to argue that. You do get 18 weeks holiday there, don't you? Yes, but you're marking. I know you've got a lot of marking to do. A lot of marking. Teachers, I wouldn't be a teacher, mate. They do a great job. Now, this is the other side of the argument, and one that I'm absolutely prepared to answer. Whenever we talk about benefits, this is the story today that Britain's benefit bill is now through the roof. 8 million people are on universal credit. The whole idea of universal credit is people who can't work are supported by those who can. Absolutely. But I would take anybody on and say that there are people ripping the system off who are in a category, don't have to work, anxiety, stress, I don't know, the dog's having a bad day, needs its nails done. I think that's crap. I think, as Isabel Oakeshott said, there should be this sort of desire to work and make something of your life. This is anonymous. Jezza, I worked for years, and due to no fault of my own, I took 2 illnesses and can't work. Instead of having a go at our British, why not have a go at the people who came into illegally that's costing billions? Completely agree. Do every day. I paid into the country. I'm entitled to be ill. Absolutely you are. But turn that argument around and ask yourself, you're entitled to it. You're the very person who should be getting it. Do you believe not just the illegals, but a bunch of lazy people who are garnering the system for doing what? Nothing. That's not right as well. We've become apologists. We've become a society that says, oh, well, you know, she's stressed, he's lost somebody, he's come from a war-torn country, she's gone through a messy divorce, let's have 6 months off. It just wasn't like that. Maybe I rant on, maybe I'm old-fashioned, maybe I'm wrong. But, you know, I always think about my parents. I think about my mother-in-law, who said to my wife now, when she had a particularly bad time in her life years ago, you can sit on that sofa for 24 hours and you can cry your eyes out and you're getting off your ass and going back to work, because that's the way it is. And I just think we've become soft. Do you agree or disagree? 0344 499 1000. Vincent says, Jez, having recently retired, lucky man, and spending more time walking the dog in town, I'm amazed just how many people I see who clearly just don't work and have no intention to. They're always in the pub, in the beer garden, usually with kids running amok. It's been a real eye-opener, says Vincent, because I've worked all my life. Good on you, Vince. 0344 499 1000. Let's head to Essex. Sean, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you?
Not bad. Whereabouts in Essex?
I'm in Hornchurch.
Nice. Is it hot?
Oh, it's too hot.
Is it? How are you keeping cool? Flannel on the neck?
Fans, just fans.
Yes, just fans.
Yeah, we can't afford.
I thought you were about to say only fans. No, just fans. What you got for me, kidder?
Okay, what I want to say is, as an ex-Royal Marine, me and four of my mates went to an auction in Portsmouth in 1997, and we bought an inflatable landing craft because we wanted to go fishing. every bit of the neoprene on that inflatable had a code, so that if it failed, then you could trace it. A bit like a black box in a car, in an aeroplane. I mean, yeah. So it goes all the way back to the manufacturer. They can't put them on the sea without putting their stamp on it. And this is why I don't understand why the government just, if they want to smash the gangs, just get hold of that code and go and find out where these inflatables are being built.
You see, to me, perfect sense. I mean, I said yesterday, my idea, you might laugh, I'd recondition one of the biggest liners that I could find. I'd train a crack... No, hear me out. I'd train a crack team of 2,000 Border Force officials. I put them on that ship. I put the Royal Navy in the Channel. Anybody that comes gets picked up. They're not setting foot in my country. You'll be processed within 24 hours. Don't tell me that's impossible. They did it with the Passport Office. If you are deemed a refugee and you've come from a war-torn country like Ukraine, yeah, we'll do everything for you. If not, you're not setting foot in the country, you're going to a detention centre. That might be on the Orkney Islands. No disrespect to the Orkney Islands, I don't care where it is, right? And you are going to learn, because you're not going to have a 4-star hotel and Pilates lessons. You're not going to be wiped by this society to the detriment of people. You're going to learn that actually we're not the soft touch, because I think the message would then get back to all those people that actually, right, oh, it's not such an easy place to go to, a bit like America is now not an easy place to go to. I'm with you about boats, but I don't believe, and this is my problem, I don't believe there's a willingness amongst politicians to do anything. Are they scared of not having an answer, or do they feel it won't make them look good? Because all these politicians, right, Sean, who worry about how they look, I want to say one thing to them. You know, we're becoming the bloody laughing stock of the whole world, this country, don't you? Because we are.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you served in this country. You fought for Queen and country. What do you make of it when you hear veterans on the streets?
Well, I just think it's diabolical. The thing is, it wouldn't be hard to find out who are manufacturing these inflatables, because by law they have to have codes on them that tell you, because if one section fails, then it has to be traced back, a bit like a black box in
like you said. Can I just say something to you? Thank you for your service, mate, and I genuinely mean that, because no, I mean it. I think that we should do more, and I respect you enormously. Thank you. Let's head to Birmingham, which is quite brave with all the rubbish there and the rats. Lee, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jezza.
How are the rats the size of cats in Birmingham, Britain?
Depends where you live.
Where are you in? Are you in the posh part of Birmingham, Solihull?
Not far away.
People get out the bath right in Solihull to have a wee. It's very upmarket. Try going to Acock's Green or something. I'm joking, of course. I spent 15 years of my life
there.
That's
where I'm from, Acock's Green.
Get lost.
Honestly.
All right, Jizzer, I'm from Acock's Green. I'm sorry to hear it. Go to the doctors. Right, listen, what we got from you? What are we talking about? Talk to me.
We're talking about Mr. Lammy's department.
The what?
Right, you know Mr. Lammy?
Yeah, oh, David Lammy, yeah. Fishing with J.D. Vance, yeah.
That's him. The story broke last night on GB News.
I don't know what you're talking about, but crack on, yeah.
There is a lady, Labour peer, who is demanding the Clive of India statue be removed for outside the Foreign Office, because Indian civil servants are offended by it.
Jesus Christ. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 57 and I'm a veteran as well.
Are you a veteran as well? How long did you spend in the service?
Oh, 14 years.
What do you... Just hear me out. Answer these questions, because it's important to me. You know, people always go, oh, you see veterans on the streets. You do. We've got stories of, you know, I don't know, veterans being moved out of social housing to accommodate migrants, and people who are against me, this station, other people say, oh, you're being really unfair to these people. But what about the people that put their lives on the line for this country? Why are they deemed not as important as people who didn't ever do anything for this country? That's what I can't get my head round.
They don't care.
But how does that make you feel when you served Queen and Country, King and Country? How does that make you feel? Does it feel like you wasted your time?
Well, at the time, I mean, I did 14 years. I did 11 tours in Northern Ireland. I did Gulf War One, and I served in Bosnia.
What do you make of the country you once served for now? How would you describe it?
It's a mess.
Who can sort it? Can anybody sort it, or are we headed down the path of whatever?
Oh, somebody's got to sort it because we'll end up like Northern Ireland.
Couldn't agree more, mate. Great to have you on, another veteran saying, you know, he did his bit. Oh, listen, we're going to go to my favourite town. I love this. Now, Simon, how are you?
Yeah, very good, Jeremy.
Simon is in Bury, but I once did a programme from Bury Market, and I didn't know this. There's not only black pudding, there's white pudding as well.
That's not from Bury, I don't think.
Where's it from then? I had it in Bury Market.
I think it's just black pudding.
Oh,
anyway.
I'm going to take issue with you. How are you, sir? How are you keeping cool? Good. How are you keeping cool today?
I'm staying indoors.
Brilliant. Great. Sociable man. What do you want to talk about?
While the wife's in the garden.
The wife's in the garden. Yeah, see, that's it. You're staying indoors. So have I told you what the old man used to call my mother?
No.
The War Office. Where's Mum? The War Office is in the garden. Best place for her. Right, what we got? What are you talking about?
Well, surely the person that's steering the outboard motor on the dinghy is a trafficker. Or is he not?
I don't know. Do you know what?
Could you not send a drone out and say he's steering it and he's a trafficker?
Mate, I don't think there's a desire to do anything about it. And what I find really interesting is there seems to be this complete deafness amongst our political class. I mean, what does Kemi Badenoch yesterday said? Oh, I'm going to halve this, and migrants shouldn't stay in hotels. They should go to asylum seeker detention centres. And today she said, I'm going to stop it, but nobody puts any meat on the bone. Nobody's brave enough to go, I'm going to put the Royal Navy in the Channel and turn these bloody boats around because my own country is on its arse.
Jeremy, the only way we're going to deal with this, we're going to have to fall out with the French and we're going to have to send them all back.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Again, here's something else. Why are we so scared of the French? We're giving them £500 million.
Exactly.
I mean, Jesus, what do they... I take their fishing licences away. They annoy the hell out of me, them. I'm surprised. Anyway, don't get me on that because I'll get fired. Are you a football fan?
I am, yes.
Who do you support?
City.
Well, Manchester City have just announced that Everton have got Jack Grealish on a season-long loan. How can you let Jack Grealish go? What's wrong with you, man?
We'll do okay without Jack.
Right. You didn't do very well last season without him, did you?
Well, no.
Marquee signing for Everton. More on our sport at 5:45. You're a legend. Thank you, Sean in Bury. And I'm telling you now, it was white pudding and black pudding. Somebody from Bury, ring me up and tell me whether I'm talking tosh. If you would like to be part of this show, get as many of you on today as possible. 0344 499 1000. Jodie, an Evertonian. She's so happy today. A lot happier than Ryan. He's a Watford fan. But it's all not so bad for him because he is the managing director of Vibe FM. Back in free.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Old Ian Collins, isn't he? On every afternoon between 1 and 4 and back tomorrow. Right, we're on. OK, it is 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Anne Steele, good afternoon. Jay? Okay. I worked as a part-time... I worked part-time in a nursery as I brought up my 4 sons. No help returned, got nothing, returned to full-time work when they were all in work. But guess what? Reduced pension as I was short in my NI contributions. Yet I find out that those who've never paid or worked get the equivalent to a full pension, and people tell me that I shouldn't be angry. Of course you should be angry. It stinks. Tracy, oh my God, is this true? Tracy in Poole, maybe Keir Starmer wants us to call shoplifters irregular payers. There's a bit of fun for a Tuesday afternoon. What would Starmer... He's not prepared to call shoplifters scumbags because it's disrespectful. It's OK to go in and steal from somebody and not face any consequences because the police aren't... They're far too busy. I mean, you know, hurty words and all that crap. Tracy from Poole, that's a great idea. What do you think Starmer would prefer we called scumbag shoplifters, who this station will continue to call scumbag shoplifters? What do you think he'd call them? Tracy in Poole, that's brilliant. Irregular payers. You can just see it, can't you? They stole because they come from a terrible background. Really? So now you're saying that everybody that's got little money breaks the law, we'll get into trouble. Stop moaning about the weather, says Heather, and enjoy the sunshine. It's nice. It's the summer. It'll be winter soon. Christ, that's good. This is interesting. From Marge. She said, on a hot day, Jez, I have a hot drink. Do you know, in India, they drink searing hot tea more than any other country in the world, and it's one of the hottest countries in the world, and it's supposed to make you sweat, and that's a good thing. Just thought I'd share that with you. Chris from Welsh Wales. Why has he put that? My work friend noticed that his 94-year-old neighbour hadn't collected the milk off her porch for 3 days. He went round, knocked, no answer, phoned police. They said they'd have to get specialist units in to break in, but they would take 8 hours to come. So he phoned the son, who lived 4 hours away, if he could break in. He agreed. So he broke in and found her on the floor. She'd fallen over and couldn't make it to the phone and had been there for 3 days. Long story short, oh, my Jesus, God, you're joking. Long story short, the police are now pressing charges on him for breaking and entering, and they wonder why this country's on his arse. Is that a true story? Is that Chris, ring us. That is... What, so you break in to help somebody and you now... But you... Oh, Jesus, I can't take it. Kerry's in Leicestershire. Jez, my best friend works 60 hours a week in a care home as they can't get staff due to low wages, and she has to claim universal credit to top up her wages, so please don't tar everyone with the same brush. She works bloody hard for her money. Kerry, I'm not. She's exactly what universal credit is about. Why is there I get it, all right, Kerry, I get it. But you need... Whenever we talk about something like this, people think that we're saying about everybody. I'm not. I've said till I am blue in the face that the whole idea of a benefit system, millions of people are happy to pay into this country and help people who can't help themselves, like that lady, right? But you cannot take away, Kerry, the fact that there are people taking advantage of this bloody system. There are people who are using the system, who don't want to work and who know that if they say and do certain things, they won't have to, which is fundamentally bloody wrong, isn't it? It's not wrong about your friend, but it's wrong about all the people screwing it and a government that won't do anything. Now, here's a lady who knows absolutely... Get my Sun logo ready or I'll get angry. Here's a lady who knows absolutely everything about this. Political correspondent for The Sun. First time on Drive, Martina Bett. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon to you. Very well, thank you. How are you?
So do you... Very good to have you on. Do you work with that rogue, Elsom? Is Elsom your boss now?
Very sadly, yes. And he's standing right next to me, so I need to be very polite and kind about
No, you don't need to be polite with me at all. He's flexing his muscles, saying, Martina will be on this afternoon. I remember Elsom in short trousers. Don't you worry about that, Martina. No, listen, great to have you on. Thank you very much indeed. The reason we wanted to get you on was this story, which is front and centre with The Sun, this migrant story, this benefit story. 8 million people now on universal credit. And I guess, on a serious note, before you tell us your side, you'd have heard that text message from Kerry in Leicestershire saying, my friend works 60 hours a week in a care home and she has to get universal credit to top up her wages, and be careful, she said, Jezza, that you don't tar everybody with the same brush. And my response to her was, I'm not. I love working, and I mean this, to help people who can't help themselves. But it is fair, is it not, Martina, to say that there are millions of people garnering and playing this, gaming this system now, and in a country that's bankrupt, and in a country where people seemingly aren't getting what they perhaps feel they should, something has to give, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's just the figures show that this bill is just not sustainable. And, you know, as you say, there is 8 million people that are now claiming universal credit. That's up by more than 1 million since Labour took power last year. But what was really interesting about these figures today is that it also shows there are more people now on benefits, on UC, with no requirement to look for work than live in the whole of Wales. You know, that's 3.7 million, and they've got no work requirements, which means they didn't have to look for a job. You know, they're signed off from interviews or training because they've been ruled too ill to work, or they're caring for someone. But this number is just completely not sustainable.
It's interesting as well. I'd love to know the criteria, because, again, there are people who can't work. And again, I nail my colours to the mast. I'm more than happy to pay. But there are people who are playing this system. And I don't understand why maybe successive governments don't see that as a drain on our finances, because it is a drain, right?
And I think the question that we need to ask is, why is it that these numbers are rising so fast in this country and not somewhere else, and not in Europe? If you look at our neighbours, they're not seeing the same level of people signing on to benefits. And this acceleration has been particularly seen since COVID. So what is driving this is the question that ministers should be answering. And instead, what we've seen from Labour is that, you know, they promised to tackle this ballooning benefits bill. They promised to freeze the incapacity, the health element of universal credit for all claimants from 2026. But as you know, there was a backbench rebellion a few weeks ago that forced them to apply the cut to only new claims. And it's very interesting because speaking to people in the WP as well, and I think there was Joe Shalam from the Centre of Social Justice today saying that cutting sickness benefits for new claimants was sort of the right approach in trying to tackle this like sort of perverse incentive in the benefit system, you know. And with the problem getting worse, the Labour government cannot touch welfare reform ever again after what happened.
But that's a really interesting point, because so many people looked at, I mean, he was trying to cut, was it 5 billion off the benefits bill? There were millions of people in this country who thought that wasn't enough. But you're right. He was absolutely slaughtered by his own backbenchers, and in the end it passed with no cuts. And in fact, I think it cost about 100 billion quid. The truth is, though, again, bad planning and bad detail, because as that lady, the reason I brought read that text from that lady in Leicester was, the minute people hear stations like this, newspapers like The Sun saying there's 8 million people getting universal credit, everybody goes, oh, so you don't want the people who are disabled and mentally... Yes, I do. Yes, I do, but you will never be able to convince me that 8 million people on universal credit are mentally ill or disabled. And something that actually I thought was really interesting that Isabel Oakeshott said at the top of the show was that for many, the drudgery of being unemployed drags you down, and you lack motivation, you don't want to leave the house. Surely, whether you have a mental illness or a disability, there must be things that people can do. Some people, I accept, many can't. But I would have thought that what we're doing is breeding a society that says it's all right if you don't work, whereas I was brought up, Martina, to say you've got to get off your ass and you've got to go earn a few quid and find something that relates to you and something that you can grow into. And I think we've lost that. And I think that's why this is such an important story.
It is a very important story, and I think the Labour government tried to sort of, you know, fix that issue, and they just couldn't. You know, we heard from ministers in the last few months the fact that it was a moral mission for the government to get people into work, because economic inactivity, of course, is bad for the country, is bad for the taxpayer. You know, the Office for Budget Responsibility has already warned that the health and disability bill could hit almost 100 billion every year by the end of the decade. These are not numbers that are in any way sustainable, and they can only be sustainable by increasing taxes, which we know that you know, the Labour government doesn't particularly want to do. Of course, no one wants to raise taxes.
Well, they're certainly going to raise taxes, aren't they? Of course they are. Yeah,
absolutely. So, in going back to what's the drive of this, you know, I think most of it, and we know that lots of it is being driven by mental health claims. People that say that they can't work work because they've got mental health issues. And then there's another argument that actually, you know, the awareness that we've got in this country about mental health problems is a good thing, but it's also a double-edged sword.
But it's like, but Martina, it's like so much, right? So, you know, it's like diversity, exclusivity, whatever else the other word is. Absolutely, we should be aware about mental health, and absolutely, we should. I mean, I've talked about what happened to me 6 years ago, and we should talk about it more. But what's happened is it gets hijacked. So many good things in this country, I think, have been hijacked now. So people go, well, I'm sorry, I'm feeling anxious. Why are you feeling anxious? Well, he said I wasn't very good at my job. Well, you're not. You're crap at your job. Take it on the chin and become better at your bloody job. No, you're having 6 months off because you're stressed. That's ridiculous. And that disrespects people who have genuine mental illnesses, and it disrespects people, you know, say, I can't work because genuinely disabled people. So I think people, when they approach this subject, and I'm so glad the Sun's running with it, is they hear it and they go, oh, you're talking... No, we're not. We're not talking about the genuinely... The people who genuinely need help, it should be there. But this system is being played, and it is disgusting, in my humble.
Yeah, and that's what the argument that Keir Starmer was making before U-turning, that if we want to have a safety net for people that generally cannot work, we need to do something about it. But, well, they couldn't, and they would never be able to sort it out again.
Can I just say... An absolute pleasure to have you on, and quite how Elsam's never... I now know why Elsam's never let you on before, because you're about 50 times better than him. Is he listening? Is he messing around? Is he?
Sadly not, but I would definitely make sure he listens to that.
Make him watch it back. Martina, thank you very much indeed. Martina Bett, political correspondent for The Sun. Of course, The Sun leading with that story, benefits Britain 8 million. What do you make of that? Do you sort of understand the Kerry and Leicester approach? Oh, Jez, you're being really unfair. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I swear to God. If you're mentally ill, if you're disabled, I want a country that helps you. But there is not anybody that listens, surely, to this show who thinks that 8 million people can't do something. Surely there's something people can do. But then, hey, we live in a society where if you do something and you pay in, you get bugger all back because everybody coming into the country gets more. That's where we're headed, 10 to 5.
Arriving
to stop being in denial about the effect of this culture coming into this country, and it is the culture of Islam, who have absolutely no regard for the value of women. So these men coming in on these boats, 800 to 1,000 a week, 26,000 this year alone, have a totally different view, a medieval view.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. So many people want to get on. Please take your calls to Jody 0344 499 1000. Jez, good afternoon. Starmer will call scumbags profit adjusters. Great show. Neil in Salisbury. This is responding to the story that scumbag shoplifters, you're not allowed to say that. 10 Downing Street has said it was... It's not appropriate. North West Police, by the way, North Wales Police, who said they changed their mind. It did not appear Mr Davies had committed any offence. It would be up to the shop owner to decide whether he displayed such a sign in his store, the force said. We will contact the owner to identify which officer it was who spoke to him and to ensure that any instance of retail crime in his store are reported to officers at the earliest opportunity. This is because a bloke in Wales put up a sign saying, sorry, you can't get into the cabinets, but some scumbag shoplifters, which is understandable because it's his business, and the police go around and said, oh, member of the public's complained. I want to know who that member of the public is, you miserable, miserable person. Probably a Karen. Let's go. Oh, hold on. Afternoon, Jezza Scott. Oh, yes, that's true. Starmer could call shoplifters. He'd call them relocators as they relocate products from one shop to the other, says Graham in Bushy. Reg from Southampton. Jez, scumbag shoplifters will be known by Starmer as irregular shoppers. And by the way, kidder, in Bury, there's black pudding, white pudding and pink pudding. You need to get out more. This is, who's this? Louise in Lincoln. Starmer and his whole party are the biggest scumbags in the history of the earth. We need to get rid of them. Nice. Let's go to Alloa. I'm joking. Alloa. I'm joking. In Scotland. David, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Oh, fine, Jeremy. Thanks for.
Are you buying Nicola Sturgeon's autobiography?
No. No.
I mean, she was a very successful First Minister, wasn't she, Aunt Nicola?
No, she wasn't.
No.
No, I never voted for her.
You don't sound Scottish, man.
Hmm?
You don't sound
Scottish. No, I'm not. I'm English.
Oh.
I've been here for 40 years.
Do you like it?
More than 40 years. Love it. Yeah, I'm loving it.
Good.
Still loving it. I'm 74 now, so
you sound
I've been here quite a while.
I'm joking.
Yeah. The reason I'm linked, I think these two stories are linked. You know, with the migrants coming over. I believe that the Labour Party and Keir Starmer are very, very cynical letting all these people in. And, you know, and they obviously do not like the British people.
No, okay.
So the British people, some of them, not all of them, but some British people say, right, I'm going to be cynical back to you. I'm going to go on all the benefits that these other people are getting. I can get up to 30 grand a year.
Do you not think, though, do you not think that there is, in our quest over the years as a country to be seen to be doing the right thing, that we've become a soft touch? Now, I mean, we've talked enough about migration. We can't get away from it. It's central to everybody's talking in situations like this. But I keep going back to, David, and I won't get away from it. I love the concept. But the concept, it's a bit like the ECHR. When the concept of, you know, benefits was put up, it was great. I think people embraced it, like the welfare state, like the NHS, you know, free at the point of entry. But all of these things have been screwed over by people who are taking advantage. And much as that might be the case, what you've said, is it not down to our government to make these institutions less easily screwable over, for want of a better phrase?
Well, but you can imagine people. I mean, I know people that have thought to themselves, well, what's the point? I'm just going to, you know, the foreigners are coming here, getting something, and they're putting anything to our society, and they go ahead and do it. And, you know, these people, some of them, you know, maybe have been to university even, and when they come out, they haven't got a job to go to, and they think, well, I'll put my intelligence into getting as much money out.
But what does that say about apathy? What does that say about a desire to make something of your life? That's just like throwing the towel and admitting that there's no point, isn't it?
Well, that's right. That's what people are doing.
But why? But that's because the apathy comes from the fact that I mean, somebody rang the show the other day and said that he'd worked for 24 years and he'd always paid his tax and he was married with two kids, and then his company went bankrupt or bust, not his own, and he was made redundant, and he went along and said, you know, I need some help while I look for a salary. You're not entitled to it. You should have saved more, or you should have this, or you should have that. And that's where I get angry about the system, because the system is... I sort of believe that the welfare system was supposed to be a sort of safety net, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do exactly know what you mean, but people do take advantage of it. and they can see people coming into the country taking advantage of it, so they take advantage of it. And of course, people are much more savvy now, and they can get the right documents to fill in.
Are they more savvy, or is our government, successive governments, either not interested or not capable of making the hard decisions? Look at what happened with Starmer and that welfare benefits bill. Everybody went, oh, you're going against the disabled people. Well, it was a particularly badly written bill. I don't think there's any harm in standing up and saying there are people screwing the system. And also, this is the point that needs making, the people who are screwing the system are taking away money from people who deserve it. That's the point that needs making, isn't it?
Yeah, and we've got the lowest pension. I mean, I'm 74 now, so I'm a pensioner, and we got the lowest pension in Europe.
Unbelievable. David in Scotland, we really appreciate your support. Thank you for listening. Thank you for phoning. It's almost 5 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. JK on Drive on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense, and the home of Mike Graham. Back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. Guess who's with him? Me, 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. If you want to be on, we're coming back with Nigel Evans, ex-Tory. Now, News at 5 is next on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Truth, a lot of time there isn't much in the think tank because I'm 60, but there we go, we'll have a go. It's just gone 5 o'clock. Good afternoon and welcome to Drive on Talk. Why did I do that? The home of free speech and common sense. Thanks for tuning in, because when you do, it gives us so much more time to work out what's coming next. What is next? Before Nigel Evans, the ex-Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons, now on a world book tour. James, a new caller, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hello, Jeremy. I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Not bad, me old son. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm just moving on from what that last caller was saying. Really, well, I'm currently on universal credit. I am looking for work. I'm in training. I'm being supported. I've had my struggles with mental health, with depression and anxiety. I do want to work, and what I was going to say is I'm very, very surprised that people are able to, as you say, take the mickey in this way. Because when I was having my struggles with mental health, I actually had a sick note from the doctor. I had to go on one of these assessments, one of these back in the day when it was called incapacity benefit, and I failed it miserably because the whole assessment is geared towards physical disabilities. So they will ask you whether you can brush your teeth, whether you can put a ready meal in a microwave, whether you can stick butter on your toast or whatever. So I was immediately bounced back to job seekers allowance, looking for work. So I really struggle to understand how these people are using mental health as an excuse and actually being signed off from actually having the requirement to look for work.
Because I think, and I'm so pleased you called, because I just, and I always find it interesting, because you might have heard earlier, Kerry from Leicester texted and said, Jez, you've got to be careful, because when you say there's 8 million people on universal credit, long-term benefits, and this is a disgrace, you're being disrespectful to that. No, I'm not. Right? People who are disabled, genuine cases, I love to go to work to help, because I believe that's what this society should do. But you know, and I know, and the lefties won't admit this because, well, Starmer must have known it because he tried to cut some of it. The system has become, I don't know the best way to describe this, but I would put it this way. We have started to become a country that apologises, it seems, for almost everything, terrified of, labelling somebody or upsetting somebody, or terrified that somebody will go, well, you've arrested me or you've done this and I'm suffering from anxiety. And to me, the point I've been trying to make all afternoon is it disrespects the genuine people. The system was good for you and long may that last for you, sir. And it's great to hear that you're looking for work. I've always believed there is mental illness, and somebody once said to me that everybody has mental issues and there are different scales, but there must be jobs that would be of benefit, mutually beneficial, without being particularly hard manually or whatever. And I just fear, James, we're now in the conundrum of, if you say I'm feeling desperate or sad or whatever, that society will go, oh, don't work, listen, it's fine. And not only should it be more, it should be harder to prove, you've got to prove it, as you quite rightly say, but I think we just need to toughen our stance a bit, don't we?
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me just very quickly tell you my situation. I'm a graduate. I'm actually educated to.
Oh, bless him. The line went dead. We'll try and get him back. Really interesting there. A guy who said, the system was quite hard to get through, but it helped me. And he doesn't understand how people are garnering the system. Time now. My favourite part of the week. On holiday, I was whimsical because I hadn't spoken to him. The former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons, 30 years as an MP for Ribble Valley and thrown out on his backside. Now, he thought, what shall I do? I'll write a book. Jez gave me a job at Little Chef, but now he's where are you now, Evans? Where are you now? Where are you in Boris Johnson's front room? What are you doing? Where are you?
I'm in New York. I'm on holiday for a couple of weeks.
Sorry. Can we rewind? You're now in New York.
Yeah.
On holiday?
Yeah. Holiday. This one, absolutely.
I lived in New York for 3 years. Whereabouts are you?
Part of the holiday.
Whereabouts are you?
Manhattan. Not far from Central Park.
I lived on Jane for 3 years. I loved it.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite cities in all the world, and I come here fairly regularly. And it's going to be interesting. I only arrived last night, so I haven't really got out and about. But the last time I was here, because I know one of the aspects we're talking about is shoplifting. What I noticed when I went to Macy's for the last time I was here was that on the ground floor, nearest to the door, they've got jeans there where they've actually got chains through the leggings of the jeans to ensure that people can't come in and steal them. So we're all fed up with what's going on in Britain on shoplifting, but I'm afraid it's a worldwide phenomenon. And people are really going to go with it.
Let's start with that. This is the story of a shopkeeper, Rob Davis, who the owner of Run Ragged, a retro shop, who was so fed up that people would come into a store and steal, and the police would do nothing, because we know that ludicrous rule, Nige, that if it's less than £200, the police will just make a note and give you a crime number. Nothing specific. And I have long railed and said, hold on a minute, so if I own a shop and I'm using my hard-earned cash to buy stuff, you're going to do bugger all. So this guy got very angry and put up a sign saying, you know, sorry, things aren't great. I've got to lock stuff down because of scumbag shoplifters. And one of those terrible human beings, you know, members of the public, Karen, phoned up the police, and the police went round and said, you'll have to take that down. That's offensive. Great. 2 days later, the North Wales police said, oh, we've got that wrong. But today, our Prime Minister, God rest him, I know, God bless him, not, he says, I wouldn't call shoplifters scumbags because that's disrespectful. Well, what about the disrespect shown to shopkeepers whose lives are blighted by people who are pillaging their shops and nothing's being done about it?
Jeremy, I used to own a shop in Swansea, and yeah, we had a problem with shoplifting too. These shop owners aren't earning an awful lot of money in the first place, and they're working all the hours that God sends in order to keep a roof above their heads. And one of the real issues that they do face is people coming in and shoplifting. And in the past, some of the shoplifters used to do it surreptitiously. They didn't want to get caught. No, they go in gangs and basically clear the shelves themselves.
Blasé about it, aren't they? Blasé about it.
Yeah, they're blasé about it because the police really aren't interested. And it really got my blood boiling when I read that story about the North Wales shopkeeper, because it seemed to me as if the police weren't really interested whenever he was having shoplifting problems. But as soon as he puts a sign up and calls shoplifters scumbags, and just for the record, they are scumbags, and they're costing people their livelihood. People who go in and try and steal from people who are trying to make an honest living are scumbags.
Completely.
Nothing short of it. They are thieves and scumbags.
But why is our Prime Minister so terrified of taking any... I mean, here's an example. We're seeing pictures on screen here. Just no respect at all. Just go in and ransack the cells. You know, I find it absolutely, right? I like you, I find it almost abhorrent that that's become the norm. And people will say to me, well, that's just the way it is. Well, it shouldn't be the way it is. And I, listen, you know, I've criticised, as you have, your party. This started with Theresa May taking policemen and women off the streets. I think it's disgusting because we now... I mean, did you see those crime figures in London today? Sadiq Khan quite rightly humiliated. Buried crime stats have now, you know, their heads above the parapet. I mean, London is the epicentre for knife crime, drug crime, and all he's doing is running around trying to make TfL, you know, I see signs everywhere I go on the tube saying, you know, well done to Mavis, who's actually a bloke, for being Employee of the Month. Where I don't care about Mavis, what I care about is priorities, and it seems that we've become so scared of saying, you're a criminal, you're a scumbag, you're going to be prosecuted, you're going to be strip searched and you're going to jail. No, we're going to run around going, let's be nice to everybody. Well, what about the bloody victims, Nigel Evans? That's what I say.
Yeah, and actually we're all victims by this, because people who then go to shops and pay the price will find that the price is a bit higher than it otherwise would be to make up for all the goods that have been stolen by scumbags. And then also you've got other shops that will just simply close down. And what's that going to do to communities and societies when you've got boarded up shops instead of shops trading properly? They're already facing massive competition from online competitors. You know, they're not going through the same problems on shoplifting, clearly, because they can keep everything under control. If we want to see vibrant, lively shop town centres, then we're going to have to take shoplifting seriously, and we're going to have to ensure that we chase these scumbags and we do lock them up.
Nigel Evans, ex-Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons, has said a word that Keir Starmer doesn't like 113 times in 6 minutes. We love you. Nigel, the other contentious story today, and I'm at pains to sort of make my point about this each time I talk about it, is this main news story in The Sun about Britain's benefit bill out of control. 8 million people now on universal credit, with an extraordinary 46% in the no work requirement category, which means you're not capable of working. Now, I have long said that have always loved being, well, not recently, but I've always thought it great about this country, genuinely, that those who are working would pay money that would help those who genuinely, underlined 74 times, cannot work. Mental illness, physical disability, you know, PTSD veterans, all that, brilliant, really happy. But you would have to drag me from this studio for me to believe that there are 8 million people who are not capable of damn well working. And I'll tell you why I say that, right? Because for years, when the Labour Party opened the floodgates and the Conservatives didn't do much about it afterwards, the idea was, let's bring all these people in to do all these jobs, hospital porters and all these, because we're... Well, I've always said it, and people have frowned at me. Well, why are we not saying to people... I'm not talking, and people get so arsy about this, I'm not talking about the people who genuinely can't, but there must be a number who would benefit themselves from going and doing something and giving something back to our society for the money they're being paid. But no, we ferry all these people in who get their arses wiped, and we've got a number of people in this country who seemingly are now, and this is not going to be popular, have made a choice to do that. And that is so wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, the numbers are beyond imagination. 8 million people on universal credit benefits is quite incredible. It's a perfect economic storm as well, Jeremy, because not only are these people now, they are basically receiving benefits from those who actually go out and work, but on top of that, well, they're clearly not contributing themselves to the tax revenues. You've then got the 13,000 millionaires who've been frightened away from the United Kingdom. They're not paying tax either. And then you've got 50,000 illegal immigrants that have come in on small boats since Keir Starmer took over, and they themselves are having to be fed, clothed, housed by the British taxpayer, which is costing billions. It's an absolute perfect storm. And also, today, the figures have come out that there's 160,000 fewer people in work last month than there was for the corresponding month before, which means that they're not paying tax either. I mean, the whole thing is a perfect economic storm.
But to me, it's like ideology. It's like we've become the NHS, the welfare state. Great, I think it's fantastic, but they've become so outdated. We could get onto the ECHR, but let's talk about this. If a system that is designed to help those who cannot help themselves ends up wiping the backside of people who patently could help themselves a little bit, to the detriment of perhaps genuine people, a bit like the migration problem, this is when the British people will go, nah, listen, I've done my bit and I'm struggling to work out why I live my life correctly. And that's where I think we are at. And people will say to me, you say this every day, what are you saying? I'm not talking about anything other than, to me, so many politicians in this country are either not intelligent enough to see this, they don't want to see it because they're not interested in trying to do anything about it, or they don't have answers. But I think we're at the crossroads for the British people, and that's why, love him or loathe him, Nigel Farage is streets ahead, because he is... Now, we can talk about lack of meat on the bone, I get all of that, but the man is speaking the language of British people and isn't frightened. Those 4 reform women yesterday, Sarah Pocham was on the show yesterday saying, this was in Baroness Casey's report. We're not throwing barbs here. 40% of crime, sexual crime, right, being committed in this country is being committed by foreign criminals, by men coming into this country that we don't vet and we just let in. That's not good enough, is it, Nigel? It's not good enough.
No. It's going back to what we would call common sense, Jeremy. It's getting a common sense approach to government. You can't carry on giving benefits to an ever-growing number of people. And the problem with the 8 million figure is that the trajectory is going up. It's not going down. And they really have got to get a grip on the number of people who are in receipt of benefits. The whole thing about universal credit was that it was enabling people to go back into work, not to make it a lifestyle choice.
Instead of the absolute opposite. You're so right. You're so right.
One of my heroes, by the way, is Craig McKinley. Remember, he was the MP who lost both his arms and his legs as well, from just below the knee. And I could only imagine the incentive for Craig to just crawl up and say, well, that's it. I dealt some really bad cards here. And he had been, let's be fair. And I saw him wearing his prosthetics for the first time. I saw him making his first steps. And what's the guy doing now? He's going into work every day. I mean, this guy is an absolute
but he's a hero, Craig. But there's the point. Are we breeding an ideology which says, don't worry about it, we'll look after you, don't have any incentive, don't have any motive? If you've got a government who are, let's be fair, saying to anybody who's successful, we're going to make you pay a lot more because you've made a success of your life, to wipe the backside of some people, before you jump up and down everybody, who seemingly don't have a desire to do anything but rip off a system that's it just frustrates me. And talking about frustration, I know you're in New York. You would have gone on a plane. Do you know this story about Salman Iftikhar? Have you heard about this today? This is just, honestly. So this thug was on a plane several months ago, and it's all on camera. It was on film. It was played to the jury. He threatened to gang rape a hostess. I don't know whether he was inebriated or just hacked off. Salman Iftikhar. He was given 15 months, only 15 months, when you consider Lucy Connolly, for hurt words, was given 31 months. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philpott today referred his case to the Attorney General because it is too lenient. Two-tier at its most obvious under Drury Starmer. Lucy Connolly, you and I have talked about this before. Apparently, imminently, she will be released. Thank God for that. They'll probably not let her speak, as Isabel said, under the conditions. But a woman made some particularly wrong comments, I think, about the Muslim community. I would have thought that educating her would have been better. No, we're going to make an example of her, throw her in jail. She's become somewhat of a martyr, I think, unfortunately, because the poor woman's got a baby and has been dealt cards. Yet this thug can I mean, you know, is he? I don't care if he's Muslim or not. It's called Salman Iftikhar, but the truth is he threatened to gang rape an air hostess. So all those women who say to me, "You're being really unfair," you're all right with him saying that, are you? And he got half the time of Lucy Connolly. No sense there, right, Nige? None.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's the first time I'm hearing about this particular case. And you've got to think of the safety of those who, there again, get up early in the morning to do their job. It's to be a stewardess on an aircraft or whatever job you're going into. And then to face these sorts of physical threats to your person. I mean, there can be few things worse than being threatened in the way that this lady was. And you are quite right. There you've got this other person who has been languishing in jail for quite some time now.
Oh, and also the bloke, I've just read this, you'll love that, he has multiple other previous convictions.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you can't write this stuff, can you?
Well, I think what we need to know is this person here legally or illegally? And if he is here illegally, then he should be on the next plane in handcuffs.
Can I ask you a question that might result in me getting slagged off a bit? We're talking about two-tier justice, but we're also talking about, and this isn't going to go down well, but they are. Stand by, right? Is this because he comes from another culture, another country, that we're being more lenient than Lucy Connolly? Because that would be something that I would look at. If a man, irrespective of his colour or his creed, threatens to gang rape a woman in public, in full view, and has multiple previous convictions, gets half a sentence of a mother of one who hacked off that her community is seeing what's happening with migrants, writes something that's very wrong, not condonable at all on social media, removes it within 3 hours, she gets twice the sentence. Have we got to a point in our justice system, Nigel, where we're worried? I mean, like the Rotherham police, let's not investigate it because we might create racial tension. If that's another example, that frightens me. I'm being honest. Frightens me.
Well, justice is supposed to be blind, isn't it? Well, it's certainly the blind has dropped off, and it does seem to me that some people are being dealt with far more severely than others. And I think that the sentencing body needs to look again at the way that it is being operated in courts up and down the country. It certainly, justice should be meted out in an equal fashion. And quite frankly, anybody who's threatened somebody in the way that this person has, I think deserves to be treated far more severely than anybody who puts anything up as a tweet, as vile as it was. Then it does seem to me that there's a disproportionate sentencing in some regards. It really is. It's distasteful in what's happening. Let's be fair, distasteful.
I think you are incredible. I'm your biggest fan. I think you're so good to have on.
I think you are, actually.
I'm your only fan. Before you finish, because I know you're very busy, we'll ask you about the book in a tick. Harry and Meghan yesterday signing a new multi-million-pound deal with Netflix. They're bringing out a Christmas special. We're not sure what it's going to be about. Maybe her cutting up some soft fruit, or maybe I don't know. Will you be watching that at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course I will. I'm a big contributor towards Netflix, but I've got to tell you, it does question any of my subscription going to that couple. I mean, the last thing that they earned was something like $100 million for their contract. And to think that Netflix is wasting any money on this couple, it really is bizarre. I mean, they've got nothing to teach anybody, have they? Let's be fair. And if they're earning that sort of money, by the way, I've got a good idea. If you are going on holiday, take your own protection with you and pay for it yourself. I mean, really.
When you say that, when you're going on holiday, did you mean sun protection or protection for other things? We love you. How's the book? Is the book?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need protection from them, but thank goodness I've got the off button on my Netflix.
Nice, yes, and chill. How's the book? Is it done, the book?
No, I'm up to chapter 17, but I'm going out to Spain in September to do 3 weeks of hopefully completing it.
I must say, you're loving not being an MP. You're never in this country. You're more abroad than Starmer is, but we love having you on, Nigel. We so appreciate it. We'll speak to you next week. The legend that is Nigel Evans, former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons, top man as well, Conservative MP for Ribble Valley for 30 years, and one of the Tories who's very honest. And if you go and look at all the vote, this man dug against what was going on, and it's really, it's just refreshing, in my humble opinion, to hear somebody who speaks that honestly. Listen, what do you want to be on about? 0344 499 1000. Jodie here, Ryan here. It's 5:25. We're coming back with Mike Neville on the day that Sadiq Khan has to admit, whilst he's running around doing his DEI crap, that crime in London is out of control. Back in 3.
To stop being in denial about the effect of this culture coming into this country, and it is the culture of Islam, who have absolutely no regard for the value of women. So these men coming in on these boats, 800 to 1,000 a week, 26,000 this year alone, have a totally different view, a medieval view.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Ryan, footnote, Stargate of common sense, what does that mean? It's through the galaxy of brilliance that is Mike Graham in the morning, is that what it means? Yeah, good. Yeah, obviously it ends with me because there's no brilliance here. Mike's back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. He's got a person in to do the papers for an hour with him called Jeremy Carr. That'll be fun. I love doing it. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock at breakfast. Yeah, I know. There we go. We've got unconfirmed reports of a breaking news story from Kinsey Schofield. Now, you know this Netflix deal? Ryan doesn't like me doing this, but I don't give a toss. Kinsey's on after 6, and she says that the new trailer for Meghan's latest crap offering is dropping at 6. So if it does drop at 6, we'll no doubt play it to you. If it doesn't, we'll just blame her for giving us false hope. Thanks for your text, by the way, 87222. Jez, I had my first job at 15, made redundant at 50, but found another job within 3 months and retired at 73. And frankly, says Michael in Norfolk, I loved every minute of it. Susan, good afternoon. Jez, you say you would like to know who the person is who said they found the scumbag notice offensive. I would go one further. I'd like to know who the police officer was who should have told the person complaining to go away and grow up. How can police go to deal with this but not a burglary? Completely agree. Emily's in Cornwall. Jez, if scumbag shoplifters steal from my shop, I don't get to eat. I can't afford to lose my stock. So yes, they are thieving scumbags, as are the illegal migrants as well. Simple as. I couldn't give a flying... What suits Starmer, who, in my opinion, says Emily in Cornwall, is also a scumbag. Hello, Stephen, in Belfast. Hey, Stephen, he liked it. Never mind. He says universal credit highest ever at last, something the UK truly excels at. We should all rejoice. Don't start. John's in Ipswich. Calling shoplifters scumbags is disrespectful. It's disrespectful to bleeding scumbags, says John in Ipswich. Hello to Steve. Shoplifting doesn't only affect the shop owners. We, as paying customers, then have to pay higher prices to compensate for the losses, and when businesses go under, their staff lose their jobs. Absolutely. I want to read this to you. This is really... touch me this. Hello to Colin from the Scottish Borders. My partner has cerebral palsy and is confined to a wheelchair. I am her full-time carer. We hate our life on benefits, Jez, and would love to work, but it's really difficult with my partner's current health. We are sick to death of seeing people who are not genuinely disabled and simply act it. Sick of not being able to get our adapted vehicle parked outside the supermarkets for huge SUVs that people get out of, some with a limp and others that don't look like they have any mobility issues at all. Maybe they have anxiety. We are so fed up with it, and my other half is struggling daily with excruciating pain and discomfort. I believe our country is a joke. I want to thank Talk and you and everybody for everything for bringing this up. There you are. That sums it up. There's a man whose wife has cerebral palsy, who has to work as a carer. That is exactly what the system was set up to do. And all those people who will go, oh, yeah. How would you respond to him then when he says people arrive at the supermarket, park in the disabled sign, get out with a limp and then rush into the... How would you deal with that? I've never forgotten, I'm going to tell a story now from the Jeremy Carr show, which will lead Ryan to hover his finger. I'll never forget, I'd been there, what, 4 weeks? And there's a story about to start, and they show me all the paperwork, and the mother, who seemed to be central to the story, sat in the audience. And I said to somebody, why is she not on stage? And the reason was that if she'd gone on stage and showed that she could walk, she'd have lost her disability benefit. That, my friends, sums up where we're at. 5:30, we're live across the United Kingdom. Next guest, I'm really keen to do this. Former Met Police detective, good friend of the show, Mike Neville. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, Jeremy. Very well indeed.
Oh, looking very smart there, sir. Like you've been in court. It's a very hot day to be wearing a tie.
Jeremy, can I just say what sums it up? I know we both know the New Forest really well.
Yes.
What sums up crime to me is I went into a local Tesco in the New Forest and there was a security tag on a packet of chicken goujons. And I've had to brief my 13-year-old daughter when she went to Bournemouth about strange men from other cultures who may try and sexually assault her in Bournemouth. That, to me, those two incidents sum up where England has gone wrong. Can you imagine my grandparents used to come down to Bournemouth ever considering that? It's just...
I live 20 miles from Bournemouth, and that story at the weekend, I haven't been to Bournemouth, I mean, once or twice, right, since I moved down there by the coast, but I don't understand how our towns, wherever they are being allowed to be... And you see, the problem is, Mike, you get labelled, don't you? Oh, Jeremy Carr, that's outrageous. It's not outrageous, OK? I fully accept and always will that we should and have and should continue to look after or extend the arm of friendship or help to people who are basically in trouble. A bit like the benefit system, right? But we are we are fast becoming a laughing stock. And for me, the seminal part is, and I keep saying this, mate, is that now, I hate using this phrase, but I don't give a toss, the indigenous population are on the back foot. They're right at the back of the queue. And I think that's where we're at politically. And that, I don't think anymore that people are going to be able to get away with, you're all far-right thugs, you're all being completely unfair. Say that to your 13-year-old, say that to your shopkeeper, say that to all these people who were brought up like us to believe that you live within the law, you go to work, you work hard, you provide for your kids, you live your life, you save up for a holiday, you have, you know, I fear, Mike, that so much that was normal to us is now frowned upon. And for me, that was the basis of what I was brought up to believe in. And you're right, you know, when Sarah Pochin yesterday was on the show and she was talking about the fear that women should have about these unvetted young single men who haven't escaped war-torn countries. They've come, you know, on a whim to a country that will allow them to do whatever. When there are certain and severally increasing numbers of attacks happening, surely women have a right to be concerned. That just nothing seems to resonate. But we have a Prime Minister who won't call shoplifters scumbags, my friend. I know you've got a particular story relating to the Wrexham scumbag sign, but for people who haven't heard this story, it was a week ago. It's a shopkeeper. He was so fed up with people doing that, he put a sign saying, sorry, but due to the scumbag shoplifters, stuff has to be locked away, a bit like you said about the chicken goujons. A member of the public who should be arrested, and I don't think that's fair. So the police went and said, oh, no, you can't do that, but now they've backtracked. Not the greatest look, my friend.
Yeah, well, the shopkeeper here runs his own little independent business. He hasn't got money, has he, to put security tags like big supermarkets have, and so he has to put his little sign up. And what struck me about this case is several things. But firstly, about 6 months ago, I actually offered my help for free to North Wales Police, and they said, oh, yeah, we've got the right place here, because my expertise is catching criminals with images like shoplifters and thieves, robbers. And they said, oh, yeah, we've got the ideal place here, Wrexham. So, and I know Wrexham, I've got relatives there, and it's plagued with shoplifting. And then suddenly they say, oh, no, we don't need your help at all. And the next thing I read about Wrexham, of course, is that the police, whilst they haven't got time to go and arrest shoplifters, they have got time to visit a shopkeeper and say the sign is offensive. Now, we saw with Merseyside police about 18 months ago where they drove around in a van saying being offensive isn't an offence, and they had to be told, no, it's not an offence at all. It is people entitled to be offensive, and he's perfectly entitled to have his little sign in his shop, and he should have told the officers to bugger off, because he should have said, your job is to stop the people stealing because I'm trying to earn a living here. But I think what it shows, Jeremy, all the time is that ordinary people, the hard workers, as you say, the people who are responsible, constantly feel that the authorities, and that includes the police and the criminal justice system, are no longer on their side. Completely. They're on the side of the bad people. They'll tell a shopkeeper to take those images of a shoplifter down.
Would you and Blexley have survived today? And I'm being genuinely serious. If you were told by your superior officer in the Met, let's just pretend now is then, you've got to go round and arrest a woman with 5 colleagues who said something, you know, has put up a sign or said something that's hurt a few people's feelings, what would you do?
Well, I would resist. I would tell them to clear off. There's 2 good monikers I had in the police. Somebody said 1, I was difficult to manage, and 2, I was a maverick. So I do like having badges like that.
They say that about me, pal. I'd say it's about knowing what the difference.
I'd tell them to get lost, because I had people telling me to do things which were in a sense illegal in my view, and I would say write it down. My attitude to senior officers was write it down on a piece of paper, sign it, and I will do it. And often they'll bottle out at that point because they don't want to be in a position where somebody's challenged them and they'll have to write down what they want you to do when they full know it's wrong.
I think so much of this show, increasingly so much of this station, is sort of casting, shining a light on a society now that had so much that I thought was based on the right principles, but through shoddy management has now become a sort of colander of opportunity for people to find a loophole and find a way in to take advantage. And on top of that now, we seemingly have politicians and institutions that don't want to stand up to somebody taking advantage because that might offend them, or it might, it might upset them, or they might get depressed. And I don't understand. I don't understand, like when we were kids and we were out playing, we were scared of the police. Nowadays, people just walk into a shop and shoplift them. And I don't like the fact at 60 that I'm turning into my dad, but it's frightening, man. I've got young kids, I've got grandkids, and I think, Jesus, where does it end then? Where does it end?
Well, the good thing is, I think, about talk in particular. So you have been a shining light on facts. So in the past, in 95, I revealed about, 70% of London street robberies were committed by black youths. And this was released by the commissioners, then castigated. Now, of course, we can actually shine a light on, Afghanis are far more likely to commit sexual offences. Yep. We've actually forced the truth out of people. And the truth is really, really dreadful. I've always said, if crime shows on the TV showed the reality of the people who are in custody for offences, people would be appalled. And all we've had for the last 2 decades is people shouting things like, you're a racist, we don't like you because you're... And ultimately, what's been found out, we've been telling the truth.
Well, very quickly, and sorry, Ryan, I mean, this is important. London, you talk about street robberies in London. Today, a glorious moment, but also frightening. Sadiq Khan, humiliated, as buried crime stats reveal the true extent of what's going on in London in terms of drugs and knife crime and all those things that we've talked about for months. But no, he's too busy doing his DEI on the tube and he refuses to answer a question. This city, for a view for the rest of the world, is appalling. And I thought that Trump was absolutely right to say he's absolutely useless, Sadiq Khan, isn't he?
He is absolutely useless. And what he said is, that theft, burglary and robbery have gone down. Well, these are crimes which go unreported. People only report them now if they've got insurance, because they've got no expectation the police will arrest anybody or get the property back. But when it comes to gun crime, rape and sex offences, they've gone up because people often report them. They don't report them because they need insurance. They report them because they've had a wicked and awful experience and they don't want it to happen to them or anyone else. So they reflect a great reality. And also what you see, if you look at shoplifting, that's gone out of control. But the other thing that's gone up 38% as well as shoplifting is robbery in commercial premises, because these are shoplifters somebody's tried to stop them, and then the whole matter has turned violent, and the shopkeeper gets assaulted, and so instead of a theft, it becomes a robbery. So
violent scumbags is what I say.
Violent scumbags, and we're warned against them by Australia, Mexico, and France, who are telling their citizens not to come here because of it.
Good. Listen, mate, great to have you on. A New Forest man like me and a man with the same mindset. We love having you on. Mike Neville, thank you very much indeed. 20 minutes to 6 o'clock. We're live across the UK. It's drive time. Back in 3. I'm off for a wee. Ta.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Back, we're on Talk. Big news in Talk Towers. I don't want to give away too much, but one of our colleagues is celebrating. I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail because it would be wrong to say it, but he's happy, isn't he, Ryan? We don't want to say too much, do we? Ryan is terrified of anything like that. I'm not going to say anything, Ryan. By the way, earlier I made the point that Ryan is involved in a community radio station, and I apparently called it the wrong station. I said Vibe FM, covering a supermarket somewhere in Hertfordshire, but in fact it's called, what is it, Vibe? What is it, Ryan? Vibe 107.6 FM, live across Sainsbury's, somewhere in Hertford. I would like to be on Vibe. Can I do that? Can I do a shift? Apparently you have to pay 13 quid to be on. Send me a demo, says the lanky streak of whatever. OK, I will. 0344, Lauren, we love you as well. 0344, not a word. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. It's summer and we're all hot and somebody's got a bloody well laugh round here. Let's go to County Durham. I think it says that. Jen, you're on Talk Drive. How are you?
Hello, Jeremy Kyle.
Hello, Jen. Why did you say hello, Jeremy Kyle?
Oh, because that's how I know you, from when I used to watch your show years ago, which I still miss.
Thank you. Well, maybe some news on that somewhere down the line. Crack on. What's happening?
I just wanted to make a point about universal credit.
Yep.
I know people that claim universal credit as a top-up to when they're working, which seems to be a point that's missed. These girls that I know, single parents, as you know, childcare is very expensive, so they're limited to how many hours they can work. So they're kind of in a different category to dole bludgers, as I call them, or government artists, because they draw the dole. I'm with you on the amount of people that claim it that shouldn't, but you've got these people that do claim it because they need it to supplement their income.
But that's the point. If it's a genuine reason for the system to help, like the lady who texted earlier, and her friends are working 60 hours a week and needs it to because of that, that's the support, because that woman is maintaining a job, and that universal credit is saying we'll top you up because you're doing the right thing. What I rail against, and I'm being completely honest, is a system that says, do you know what, actually, just don't bloody bother working. I'd far rather universal credit was absolutely used to top up people, to give them the incentive to do something at least and get their foot on the ladder. What fundamentally I think is causing problems is when you have a system that says, do you know what, it's a career choice now, do bugger all. And I don't care. The thing is, people say to me, that's not happening. Well, it is. You just heard from that disabled guy who's a carer for his wife, and he's livid with people who pretend to have this, that and the other simply because they're playing the system. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and people like that do boil my, what do you call it? Can't say that on the radio.
Your blood?
But, my blood, yes.
Yes.
That's the polite way for it.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest problem, I think, with the welfare system in this country is that people actually need to claim a top-up in income because the wages are so low and the bills.
Why are wages so low?
Well, you've got the minimum wage.
I'll tell you why wages are so low, because the Labour government and then the Tory government opened the floodgates to immigration to keep wages low by getting people in from other countries to do the jobs. But you can argue it in all sorts of ways. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be like this every day, but I'm beginning to fear that we are at a really low point, and we need somebody with the balls to actually say, I'm not doing this. This isn't going to happen anymore. And you can hate me, you can rail against me, but you're not going to take advantage. We can't afford it anymore. That's what we want. Jen, great to have you on. My regards to County Durham. On my way up there tomorrow, I won't tell you why. Let's go to Newport. Alan, how are you, sir?
Hiya, mate. How's you doing?
Have you got the radio on? Or the telly? What?
My telly's downstairs. I'm upstairs.
Oh, right. You're in the toilet then, because you sound like you're in a biscuit tin. You all right?
Yeah, I am. I'm in the bathroom waiting.
Well, as long as you're not sitting down and talking to me at the same time, because that would be very unedifying. What would you like to say, my friend?
About this benefits Britain. I'm the same age as you. When I left school, I was given a choice of go on a YDS course or get nothing. And it done me well. I didn't learn a trade, but I learned to go to work.
But you see, this is my point. I don't think it should be. Maybe I'm wrong. My daughter says to me, Jez, you don't really understand that you know, you can send 500 emails of CVs and not get a look. And I get that. I want to make that point. I absolutely understand that. We would knock on the door, right? And you know, you'd want to start at the bottom and work your way up. I get all of that. I know it's harder, but I still fervently believe that we need to concentrate on not making it so acceptable, for want of a better phrase, to not give a toss. Because
I agree with you completely. There's just
apathy.
There's no reason for somebody to go to work.
Yeah,
they just get too much. They get everything thrown at them. Oh, you have a house.
Yeah.
I have money for nothing.
We're beginning to sound like old gits, but I think we're on it.
Well, I am an old git, but
how's Wales? The Labour Party's destroyed Wales, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. But
do you call shoplifters scumbags? Because the man in Wrexham was almost sent to prison for saying it.
Well, I probably would have got arrested for the sign I would have put up.
We love having you on. Al, you're a legend. Alan Newport on Talk Drive. What is it, almost 10 to 6? We'll do our sports update next. Back in 3.
To stop being in denial about the effect of this culture coming into this country, and it is the culture of Islam, who have absolutely no regard for the value of women. So these men coming in on these boats, 800 to 1,000 a week, 26,000 this year alone, have a totally different view, a medieval view.
Would you call shoplifters scumbags?
I'd call them scumbags, and worse. Yes, this is modern parlance for perfectly understandable what we think of people who are just stealing from other people. It's normal parlance, and to think that the police even thought it worthwhile to visit, quite frankly, I think speaks volumes about...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Back 8 minutes to 6. Push the button, please, Ames.
Sport Summary on Talk.
We are delighted to be joined by a true doyen of sports broadcasting, Ian Danter, speaking to us live from Northampton Town, managed by an ex-West Ham legend. Does Ian Danter know who that is?
Of course I know it's Kevin Nolan.
Kevin Nolan. They're playing Southampton tonight. What's that, in the Dame Edna Everage Cup or something? What is it?
Now, there's no need to be so picky just because you're Premier League. It's the EFL Cup round 1 starting tonight. There's loads and loads of ties around the country, and from 7 o'clock, TalkSport will have it all covered with an around the ground service. And we do have Bromley against Ipswich on TalkSport 2 tonight. So it's a busy night of football, Jess.
Listen, there's so much I want to talk to you about, loads to talk to you about, but I think we've both got the camera angle wrong because the camera's pointing up and both of our jowly necks that we didn't have 30 years ago are showing. You need to...
That's show business.
It's no business. Alexander Isak, you know I spend a lot of time in Newcastle. I've got great friends there. I spend a lot of time at St James's Park. I love it. It sounds like, because the Geordie faithful are great, but they will turn, that he has burnt his bridges and said he's not being reintegrated into the team by Eddie Howe. If Liverpool don't come up with the money, that's going to be a very, very difficult situation for both Newcastle. Well, Alexander Isak, I'm not sure he's played this perfectly well. Do you? Would you agree with that?
I'm certainly sure that I don't think his agent is playing it particularly well.
Well, then you sack your agent, Dance, and tell your agent to shut their mouths, don't you?
Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has done just that, having left Everton. Whether the trickle becomes a flood, and lots of players do that with agents who they don't think are doing the best for them, remains to be seen. But with Isak, we appear to be approaching critical mass because he's put his house on the market in Newcastle, Jez. So that's always a big sign. There isn't a secondary offer that's coming from Liverpool as yet. They appear to be the only side in town who are willing to put up the sort of money that Newcastle would even be vaguely interested in. Remember, they offered £110 million flat, no add-ons. That was a flat fee, one-off payment of £110 million that Newcastle rejected. Liverpool haven't been back since. So, yeah, if they don't come up with anything that's suitable for Newcastle, boy, how eggy is that going to be for Isak?
Let me tell you, the Toon Army, let me tell you, will back Eddie Howe, and I believe Eddie Howe's a fantastic manager, and I can absolutely see him banishing him and making him sit there till January. You'll laugh at me, but I genuinely believe they will do that.
Anything's possible at this point. He's certainly training on his own at the moment, so, you know...
Can we talk about Pete? I just, because you're a football fan like I am, I am so depressed about, have been so depressed about West Ham, and I was very vocal about David Moyes. What a fantastic signing for Everton, Jack Grealish. I cannot believe that I just think that's a fantastic signing, don't you?
In principle, it could work perfectly for both parties.
Yes.
Because we're less than a year away now from a World Cup that Jack Grealish will desperately want to be part of with England, assuming that England qualify. And he will want to be playing regular football, something he was not afforded under Pep at Manchester City last season.
Any ideas?
Well, I don't know. It's strange with Pep. I mean, for one thing, he likes a fairly small squad. And I think there were players like Doku and Savinho who just got ahead of him in the pecking order, Jess, and just got more regular football. Now, at Everton, he does have a chance to maybe play in a number 10 position, which, when I remember when he was playing for Villa and coming through and playing in a 10 position, he was sensational.
Amazing.
And if there's one thing England are blessed with quite a few of, it's number 10 style players. James Maddison's out for the season. He's got a chance to stake a claim for international football this season if he can do the job at Everton. But he's got to hit the ground running, Jez.
Still think it's an absolutely fantastic piece of business by Moyes. Absolutely. I mean, I just think it's great. So lots of EFL League action tonight. Pick of the teams, a pick of the games. Not really where you are, surely. I mean, they've sent you to the worst one, haven't they? They send Sam Face to the best, don't they?
Well, a Battle of the Hamptons and all that. Northampton haven't won yet this season in League One. They've only scored once. And on the other side of the coin, Southampton left it dreadfully late on Saturday lunchtime on TalkSport to see off Wrexham, but see them off they did. I think the fascination here is with this young coach who's 32 years of age, Will Still.
Will he still stick to the same principles, do you think?
Well, you see, you're getting the gags in early.
Yeah.
He may well do, but he's a very progressive coach. He's done brilliantly at Reims and Lens in the French Liga, getting them decent finishes. They've given him a chance at Southampton. He appears to have got the morale going because they must have been on the floor after relegation last season. But Northampton, they made a lot of buys here in the summer, a lot of ins and outs in the transfer market under Kevin Nolan. Nothing's quite gelled yet, and they don't appear to have a really good striker at League One level. But we'll see. There's a guy called Sam Hoskins in the side tonight who was born in Dorchester and started his career at Southampton. Maybe tonight could be his night if he's up for it.
It's great to have you on. Are you a rugby fan?
I watch it. I can't pretend to understand the rules half the time.
My friend who was the owner of Newcastle Falcons, today they confirmed that Red Bull has taken that over. That's Red Bull are going to extend their interest in many, many sporting ventures, I suspect. Good for rugby, that is. Good for rugby.
Yeah, well, we've seen it in football with, the clubs in Austria and Germany that have used Red Bull. They've got the soapbox racing. They've got there's that aeronautical racing that they do around the Thames. They've done that where they're fully into that. So yeah, Red Bull are certainly they're spreading their wings, shall we say?
Very clever, that. Do you think that we'll end up in some sort of care home so that old broadcasters go to, sat on chairs with blankets on our legs, looking out to the sea, going, do you remember when we were on Talk in 2025 and you were at Northampton and I hadn't started dribbling yet that downturn?
Well, I'm booked in from next month if you want to join me.
How long have we been doing this?
Longer than most. Well, for me, here at TalkSport, 21 years.
30 this year for me.
Well,
Sounds
you get less
like
for murder, don't you?
Well, yeah, like marriage. Good man, lovely. So tonight, EFL action. Ian at Northampton against Southampton under Will Still. Will they? Never mind, I'm not doing it. All the action you need on TalkSport, our sister station. Ian Dante, you're a legend. Thank you very much indeed. Almost 6 o'clock. We are live across the United Kingdom. I am delighted my next guest because he will just fall off his chair, Brendan O'Neill, chief political writer of Spiked. When I tell him this story later, I'm just in. An intoxicated Nigerian man who sexually assaulted a teenager has today been spared jail due to his troubled background. What is going on? More on Talk after the news at 6, which is next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Final hour of Drive for Tuesday. We're live across the UK. JK till 7 ahead of Kev O'Sullivan here with his political asylum Petrie from 10 o'clock. If you want to be on, please feel free. 0344 499 1000 is my telephone number. You can text to 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Brendan O'Neill is the chief political writer of Spite. I just want to bring him straight on because I've got a story just handed to me by Ryan that, frankly... Brendan, good evening, sir. How are you?
Hi, Jeremy. I'm well, thank you.
You aren't prepared for this story. You haven't been, neither was I, but I know of all the people that I talked to, great piece, by the way, the other day in the Mail, well done, that you, I just want to see your face. It's just in. I will be called many names for saying this man was Nigerian, but I'm going to. A Nigerian man who sexually assaulted a young woman next to Bournemouth Beach has been spared jail because of his troubled background and difficult life. Ayamide Famakindi, 23, was given a community order today by the judge who said the offence was a momentary aberration. He approached the 19-year-old victim late at night in the Dorset seaside town in August 22 and put his hands down her jogging bottoms. As the 18-year-old tried to fight him off, they fell to the ground. He ignored her shouts to stop and carried on until he was pulled off the victim by his friend. The two men then walked off together whilst the teenager was left in tears. The victim told Bournemouth Crown Court that he had ruined her life and she no longer feels safe at home, but a judge ruled that the offence was a momentary aberration, that the defendant had a very difficult, troubled life and a difficult background, and said that the gym instructor from South London should just do 150 hours of unpaid work and we as a society should help him. He's also been granted indefinite leave to remain in the United Kingdom. Now, as I draw breath on that, yeah, I can be told anything and I can be sacked. I actually want to swear and I don't want to... Where does... Brendan, I don't know what's happening, man. So sod the victim, right? Sod the fact this girl is ruined for life. Not only is he not going to jail, he's not even being deported.
You know, it's hard to know what to say without swearing, isn't it, Jeremy? But I'll try my best, like you have. It's shocking. It's disgusting. It's actually genuinely repulsive that something like this could happen. That just because of his troubled background, I mean, we've all got troubled backgrounds to a certain extent, but we don't go around manhandling or abusing women and wrecking their lives in the process. It's outrageous. And, you know, we live in a country now, Jeremy, where a woman, a mother, is in jail and will be and has been for 31 months for writing something on social media. And this man did not spend 1 second in jail and in fact was given a fairly light community order for jumping on a woman, shoving his hands down her pants and making her feel absolutely terrified. That is assault. That is abuse. And the fact that he's not going to serve any time at all is disgraceful. But, you know, what makes this even worse is just one case after another like that these days, where people who come to this country or have lived in this country for a while or are fresh in this country commit certain crimes, commit certain offences, including sexual offences, and they're either let off, they're not deported, they're allowed to carry on, and it is absolutely disgraceful.
So yesterday, Sarah Poacher was on from Reform and she'd held that press conference and talked about, and this was in Baroness Casey's report, that so many crimes against women were now being committed by foreign criminals, and a lot of these young men come to this country and are not vetted. There will still be an outcry from the left, and lots of people will jump up and down on social media and say, this is just it'd be dreadful to talk about this man being Nigerian. This is outrageous. I end up wanting to scream because I want to say to those people, so you're not bothered about a female's safety. This man's excuse for his left-wing human rights law was to say, I was intoxicated through drink and drugs because I had a troubled childhood. Can you imagine boot on other foot? It is beyond me. And people who listen to this station and people who, you know, have the same mindset at this moment will have their mouths dropped on the radio where they're whatever they're doing. They're going, what? So you've basically sexually assaulted a young teenager who was walking home, and you've got away with it. Shame, by the way, on the human rights lawyer who represented him. I want to know. That's blood money in my mind. Sorry, blood money. I think it's disgusting.
You know, the people, there is a section of society in the political class and the media class who don't care about women like this one. They don't care. They've made that calculation, that disgraceful, sinister calculation, that maintaining the ideology of multiculturalism is more important than protecting women and girls from abuse, and even in some cases from rape. We know they've made that calculation because for 30 years, they refused to get a handle on the grooming rape gang scandal because they preferred to keep the social peace, as they would see it, rather than tell the truth about what was happening to white working class girls. Look at the migrant hotel crisis. These people look down their noses at the women and men protesting in Epping and other parts of the country against these migrant hotels. And they're protesting not because they're xenophobic, far-right gammon, which is how certain people at The Guardian would look at them. They're protesting because they want their daughters to be safe and not to be subjected to assault, as some have been by these men who come from regressive cultures, who haven't been vetted and who've just arrived and think they can do what they want. So they don't care. They absolutely do not care about the safety of primarily working class women and girls in this country. They prefer to virtue signal about the importance of multiculturalism rather than protect women and girls from rape. That's the truth.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't have put it better myself. And actually, without falling foul of because it is possible to just stand here and sit here and swear and just I just think if you're listening to that, a Nigerian man who sexually assaulted a young woman next to Bournemouth Beach has been spared jail, ladies and gentlemen, because of his troubled background and difficult life. Sod the victim. The fact that she is, as we said, ruined for life. Psychologically, PTSD, I'm sure, nothing. But as you said, this desire. And I'd love to get inside the brains, if there is any space, of these people who, you just said they don't care. The time will come, I believe, where the British people's voice will make these people realise that they should have cared, and that actually the view was not about racism. It wasn't about fundamentally trying to change anything. It was about the difference between right and wrong. A man attacking a woman, I don't care where you come from. I've said it before about Rotherham. I couldn't give a toss where you come from. If you do that to a young girl in the society I believe we live in, or should live in, you don't deserve your liberty. Let's talk about the other main news story of the day, having done that, because that's just going to drive me mad. Benefits Britain, big piece in The Sun today, that the Universal Credit figure list is now approaching 8 million, 46% of whom are in no work requirements, the group that says don't bother. Now, I want to make this, because I know you'll agree with this, but I mean, this is my opinion. I want to make the point that there has always been, in my mind, this system was great in that it was set up to help people who cannot help themselves. And even our Prime Minister must have acknowledged that now this is out of control, because he tried to cut a meagre $5 billion off the welfare budget recently, completely humiliated, I think because he didn't put it very well. I've had texts today. The minute you talk about this, people will go, I'm a carer, I'm disabled. Yeah, absolutely. And I want all those genuine cases to not suffer. But I do think we need to acknowledge that there are an increasing number of people who game this and take advantage, and for all sorts of reasons have no incentive, no desire and no future in going to work. And I think that's an absolute disgrace, because that's not what it was set up to do, was it?
Absolutely right. And in fact, I'd go even further. And if we don't talk honestly about the people gaming the system, or the people lying around doing nothing and knowing that they'll be funded by the government for doing so, if we don't talk about that, we'll actually undermine the legitimate cases. We'll undermine faith in the system more broadly. And as you say, it's an important system. It's good that this country helps people who, for whatever reason, cannot help
themselves. Absolutely.
For whatever it might be, because they're disabled, because they're ill, because they're really trying to find a job, but they just can't at this precise moment. There are lots of legitimate cases. That's why welfare was brought in. It's
absolutely
a good idea. But when you have the exploitation of it, or when you have, even more to the point, a political establishment that can't get it under control, that refuses to distinguish between people who deserve it and people who don't.
Why can't they? Why can't they see that? What is this blindness amongst the political class? We talked before about, the justice system. It is patently obvious even to Starmer, I've said it already, that there's an issue, and yet he's backtracked because a bunch of lefties have gone, oh, no, absolutely. I would have said to them, the bill should be not. It should be to make the point that the very people who genuinely need it are missing out because the system is being played.
Yeah.
But I just don't understand whether politicians in this country have a death wish, because the British public aren't going to accept this anymore. Because actually the reason is, for the first time for a long time, and I said this earlier, I don't know what you think about this, seemingly, I don't know whether people were less aware before or we were better off and it didn't matter, but British people are struggling. And with struggle comes your eyes open. You think, well, hold on a second, why is she or he getting better than me when I've... And now, I suspect in another example with this is they'll just go, well, that's completely unfair.
Yeah, that's exactly what people are saying. And they're dead right to say it. And they're going to say it more and more loudly as time goes on. They really are. They're going to start pushing back in a very firm way because it is so obviously unfair. And I think as to why the establishment can't see it, I think it's a large part of it is moral cowardice. They just don't want to be called anti-welfare or racist or authoritarian or any other of the accusations that get thrown at people who raise perfectly legitimate issues. They don't want all of that. They run away from all of that. They want to keep their access to the dinner party circles and the upper echelons of society. So they say what they think is the right thing to say, which is that we should have open borders and we shouldn't be too critical of migrants who come here. And we should give welfare to anyone who wants it and don't be like a horrible...
How do those people answer an 18-year-old girl that was raped by that Nigerian gentleman in Bournemouth who's walked away scot-free and she's forever scarred? How would Starmer and his acolytes and the Tories that failed us, how would they answer that girl? How? What would they say to her? They don't care about her?
They just wouldn't talk to anyone like that. And I was thinking that the other day, in fact, Jeremy. I was thinking, why hasn't any Labour minister gone to Epping and talked to the people there?
The mothers who were walking around with signs saying, I am concerned about my daughter. You have every right to be concerned about your daughter. Mike Neville just said on the show, I don't think you wouldn't have been listening, you're a busy man. He said, I live in the New Forest. I popped into Tesco. He said, two things have happened to me recently, he said. I walked into Tesco's and a packet of chicken goujons had tags on them, right? Chicken goujons. My daughter's a teenager. She's going out for the night with the mates in Bournemouth. I have to tell her to beware because there are men that will physically attack her. He said that was never like that when we were kids. And yet, I leave here some days and I think, oh, you're just going off on one every day. But it frightens me. It frightens me a lot.
But, you know, these are peaceful protests. They are protests by primarily decent working class families, lots of women, lots of mothers. Mothers are kind of leading some of these protests, especially in Epping. You know, of course, some far-right oafs have attached them to it. That always happens, just as crazy extremists attach themselves to left-wing protests all the time. We know that will happen, but primarily these are decent people in this country who've worked hard, who've brought up families, they've got questions about the system, and not one Labour minister would deign to go and talk to them because they look upon those people with contempt. And the truth of the matter is, Jeremy, that the rulers of this society, the opinion formers of this society, are more scared of those mums protesting than they are of the people in the hotels. They have more contempt for the white working class people saying, look, we think there's something wrong here, than they have much more favour for the young men who've come from regressive cultures and just arrived in this country. That's the topsy-turvy.
But actually the point and I think you're absolutely right, and the interesting thing about that is that's probably based on the belief that so many in power are interested in how we look globally, and you know that you talk about all the things, the decisions that are taken. But I find it sadly ironic that globally we're becoming a bloody laughing stock, not just for our foreign policy, but people, the Americans, are looking at how we're trying to quash freedom of speech. How, you know, you get jailed Lucy Connolly 31 months for writing something that somebody disagrees with. Can I just do a quick call with you? You're right for a sec? This is really relevant. It's Roy in Hampshire. Roy, Brendan O'Neill is here from Spiked as well with me, Jeremy Carr. What do you want to say? A couple of minutes, go.
Yeah, about this Nigerian fella, are the judges being told not to send these people to prison because of the overcrowding by Pinocchio Starmer?
Well, I don't even know if it... I mean, you make a point. Is it more than that it's overcrowding? Is it because of what, Brendan, you say quite a lot, which is their fear of admitting that you know, the social cohesion of multi-racism, whatever you call it, culture isn't working? I don't know. What do you think?
I just think we live under politicians and judges and other sections of society who just cannot hold the line anymore. They cannot hold that basic line between right and wrong, between crime and law-abiding citizens, between, you know, having borders that you enforce or having open borders. They just can't hold the line on any issue. And I think that really does infect the legal system as well, the justice system. And we do now have a situation where people are getting away pretty much, they're certainly not doing jail time, for crimes for which they should be punished. You know, let's not forget that last year or the year before, a man went into a kosher deli in Golders Green with a knife, waved it in people's faces, saying, tell me what you think, the Jewish people's faces, saying, tell me what you think about the Israel-Hamas war. He didn't spend 1 minute in jail. He was given a suspended sentence. We see this repeated time and time again. Largely migrant people, often migrant people, will get away with a very soft sentence, and then they can go out into the world and carry on doing things they shouldn't be doing because our rulers refuse to hold the line of decency and morality.
Right, do you agree with Brendan? I do. I don't know where we're at, mate. Do you?
Well, you look the other day, mate, when those fellas got hold of that fella and took him off the train because he dropped his trousers, exposed himself, and now the transport police want to find those guys and arrest them.
I think they should get medals.
What type of country are we living in now with these? What's the matter with these police?
How old are you, mate? How old are you?
My nephew, he did his time in the police force. He ended up in the City of London Police, and he said the best coppers he ever served with were ex-military. And now they won't take on ex-military. You've got to have a degree to get in the police force.
You know what Blexley always says? It's just the Blexley always says it's just the greasy pole. The thing is, Roy, and Brendan agrees with me, I don't want to sit here every day turning into my dad, but I have genuine concern about where this country's going, don't you?
Exactly, mate. I'm 79, mate. And I'm old school. I think we're a dying breed, mate, in this country. You know, people like you and me.
Well, I ain't going to give up, mate, until they drag me out. We appreciate your call. Brendan, just finally, the other news story that seems to have dominated today is that Keir Starmer has announced that he doesn't feel it appropriate to call shoplifters scumbags. This is based around the Wrexham story. Rob Davis, the owner of Run Ragged, a retro shop, was hauled before police, but they came round the other week because he put a sign in his window saying, sorry for cabinets locking up my stuff away, but scumbag shoplifters have made it very difficult for me. And then a Karen, or a Kevin, phoned the police and went, that's a very disrespectful message. No life, no friends, obviously. And the police came around and warned him. They've backtracked since then, the North Wales police. So basically, you're not a scumbag. Please feel free to come into my shop, nick up to £200 worth of stuff. The police will do nothing, and everybody's fine. Of course they're scumbags. They are scumbags.
Jeremy, what a sign of the times that if your shop is robbed by these little scumbags, the police probably won't come around, won't do anything about it. But as soon as you put up a sign calling them scumbags, there are the police at your door telling you to take it down. I mean, you couldn't ask for a more perfect snapshot of how morally lost our country currently is. The fact that Starmer's now saying he wouldn't call shoplifters scumbags, that is hard proof of how out of touch he is.
Well, it's very interesting to say how many people have texted me and gone, it's all right for his deputy to call them Tory scum. Is it our Ange? Because that's true.
Yeah, exactly. But it's precisely that thing of never wanting to judge anyone and saying, well, you know, they can't help themselves, these shoplifters, you know, who knows what's going on in their lives. Nonsense, rubbish, codswallop. They are scumbags. And, you know, people say it's a minor crime. It doesn't matter. It does matter.
Of course it does. If you own a shop and you've gone and bought your products and you're looking for a return. Do you know the thing also, just to finish, that always riles me more than anything is when, whether it's the Labour Party, the Liberal, even I don't care, when people go, do you know the thing is, right, that this person's come from a very poor, impoverished background. What an absolutely disrespectful thing to say to the millions of people who come from working class families who have never had a pot to pee in, who would no more break the law than you and I would. And I think it's disgusting because it just says, oh, that you'll all get. I think it's individuals. And I just, oh, mate, listen, we usually have our Wednesday rant. We've had our Tuesday rant. Is there hope? Do you think that anybody's going to see the light or what?
Well, you know what? There is hope. Normal people out there, the majority of Britons recognise that something like shoplifting is incredibly serious, not only for the shops and the businesses, but for the community. It just chips away at that general sense of security and safety and happiness in a community. People are now saying, listen, our communities matter. They are important. We want them to be safe. We want them to be secure. We don't want strange men from regressive cultures coming here. We don't want people shoplifting. We don't want people snatching our phones. We want to live in peace and security. And you know what? Maybe a little bit of happiness. That's what people are asking for. And if the government doesn't bow down to that, they're in big, big trouble.
Love having you on, buddy. Really appreciate your time as ever. Brendan, a chief political writer, what a legend, from Spiked on Talk Drive 622. Thank you so much indeed. We'll do some messages, do some calls, 0344 499 1000. This hour we've also got Kinsey Schofield live from LA and John Lucas, the night news editor, Sarge, the sexy Sarge, whose female following, led by Jodie, is growing by the minute. Back in 3.
Perhaps
if we are importing criminals and we do not know who's coming into this country, then it's a problem for the British people. I do believe that there's cover-ups at civil service level. When I was in Parliament, I asked for the stats crimes per nationality be published, because you need to know if you're importing a problem and how to deal with that problem. But it's only, as you said, it's only just coming out now, and any crime against a child, yeah, they don't deserve to live, and they certainly don't deserve to be in our country, do they?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. That has absolutely infuriated you, and I don't blame you. The Home of Common Sense released this story, Talk, on this show 10 minutes ago. An intoxicated Nigerian man who sexually assaulted an 18-year-old teenager by coming up to her on a beach in Dorset and putting his hands down her pants is spared jail today by a judge who said he had a troubled background and it was a momentary aberration. Just to rub salt into the wounds, the victim says he's ruined her life. She has PTSD. She will not go out alone. But let's not think about her. Let's think about Ayomide Famakandi, 23, who today has been granted indefinite leave to remain in the United Kingdom. Jez, we are becoming a country that visitors will avoid. We are a society that is sinking lower and lower. Lynn in Crowthorne, lots of our judges no longer have my respect, and this section of our society do not work towards our safety. Another institution that are failing the general public. It is a disgrace. Jeremy, Hayley and Carshalton, that story about the Nigerian's assault on the young lady without any punishment, who knows what he will escalate to. If he is not deported, there is something seriously wrong with this country. Ron Wallace, our judiciary are not fit for frigging purpose. A Nigerian commits a sexual offence and gets community service. It is unbelievable, Jez. No one, regardless of ethnicity, deserves to roam free that has committed this crime. But worse still, this piece of crap gets to stay and doesn't even get sent out. Sal in London. Jez, been trying to find anyone who can explain to me why anyone who commits a sexual or violent crime isn't immediately excluded from the asylum process. Why should the victims' human rights be persistently disregarded? Being accepted into another country as a privilege that shouldn't be extended to those who mean harm to others. Time, victims' rights came first, completely. And Susie, all women this, I'm fuming. Poor Lucy Connolly had a poor history. They banged her up quick enough without even giving it a thought. Couldn't agree more. 0344 499 1000. Caroline in London, equally gobsmacked by the story of the sexual assault on Bournemouth Beach. The Nigerian gentleman walks free today and gets leave to stay in the country. Caroline, welcome to Jez's Drive Time. What you got?
Always lovely to speak to you. I'm a bit emotional, to be honest. I don't even know what to say.
No.
Apart from this it's over. It's over, Jeremy. How is it not going to be over? We've got 4 more years, and I can't even say they're a government. They're criminals, and they're traitors. They are criminals, Jeremy, and they are traitors.
I don't, you know, people will listen. They go, hold on, but I'm with you. There's exasperation. If we just wind it back a minute, I don't even want to laugh.
I feel like I'm living in a nightmare here.
This girl was sexually assaulted, and it leads me to think, and you know, and I love that text, by the way. The judge said he'd had a difficult life. Lucy Connolly had a difficult life. Are we now judging people on where they come from, their ethnicity? That's not right. I said it about Rotherham. I don't care where you come from. You're welcome to come to this country if you've got a viable reason. But what I will not have is that is used as a reason for you not to face the full force of the law when you break the law and do something as inhumane as sexually assault somebody. It's bizarre. Well, it's not bizarre. It's disgusting, Caroline, isn't it? It's disgusting.
But he shouldn't be. He shouldn't even go to court. He should be on a plane straight away. Why are we paying for him to go to court?
And do you know what would happen? This would just, I don't want you to get too depressed by what I'm going to tell you, but this is what will happen.
I know what you're going to tell me. I know exactly
what will happen is he'll say, I can't go back to Nigeria because having been convicted of a sexual assault, I will be treated really badly. Good.
Jeremy, am I allowed to say whatever I want on here without swearing?
No, you can't actually, unfortunately, because I've got to go now, but we loved having you on. Sorry, sweetheart, I'm up against it. 6:30, Talk Drive. Thank you, Caroline. Always great to have you on. 0344 499 1000. I'm going to swiftly change tack because I literally will end up headbutting the machine. Very often in this job you meet people who become a ray of light, not only by their talent but by their personality and character, and this is a lovely moment for me. It's been 2.5 long weeks. Kinsey Schofield, hello sweetheart, how are you?
And are you leaving again?
Am I what?
Are you going on vacation again?
No, I'll be on breakfast in the morning. Why? What are you
talking about? Okay, I was worried. I thought you were leaving again. I was like, don't do this to me.
I can't do it anymore. How are you? I'm coming to America. We need to talk.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to see you when you're here.
I am coming. Now, listen, we need to all sort of hold hands from far and brace ourselves because the reason we got you in is yesterday was this breaking news that Harry and Meghan, and he said something else then, have signed a new multi-year Netflix deal. Everybody went, what the hell for? The fruit plate was crap. But let's just, can we first of all thought you, what is the basis of the deal? It's not as great as it sounds, is it?
Right. It's first dibs. So basically Netflix is just saying, we want to see your creatives before anyone else. And we're going to say yes, no, maybe so. And really, we've heard some of their ideas in the past. Prince Harry talking to Putin, Prince Harry judging Coco, hot cocoa, whether, giving it a 5-star review. Meghan Markle's Pearl was canceled before it even began production, and a woman accused her of plagiarizing her original idea for it.
Yep.
Emily in Paris, but with a dude. So
I think, what about, you remember that dreadful, before we play the trailer from the new programme, which I'm building up to, do you remember the fruit plate and how I love to do things? I mean, personally, right, if he was naked and she was eating the fruit off him, I mean, nothing's going to work for them, is it? The whole thing is, nobody gives a damn, because they are tarnished, aren't they?
I feel like that's more of an OnlyFans opportunity, but yeah, when it comes to what they create content-wise, you know as well as I do that unless it involves the British royal family, no one cares.
Yeah.
They need this proximity to the British royal family to stay relevant, and that's why when there were all the reports about this royal reconciliation and people from Prince Harry's team jumping on a plane to London to meet with people from King Charles's team, I instantly thought, what do you need from this family?
Yeah, absolutely.
And here we are.
And that's the point. Right, so with love, I don't even know what it means. I'm not even going to pretend I do. Last time was her in her kitchen, but it wasn't her kitchen, cooking, well, sort of just cutting up some fruit and saying that, this is what weekends are for, just for me to understand how people care so much about how they eat their melons, apparently. This is the latest. Have you watched this trailer? Have you? Yeah?
We're watching it together.
Right, so you haven't seen it? Right, OK. And this is 44 seconds. I don't know what it's... I have no idea what it's about. I don't know whether it's fruit, cooking. I have no idea. I just know it'll be crap. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 44 seconds, Meghan's latest Netflix trailer with love.
I love the idea of spending time together. Hello! And finding new ways to show people you care. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, I could do this every day.
Let's get creative and learn something new. Nicely done. I don't know what's happening. I'm so glad you came to show me how to do this. Is this working?
Today's about getting out of your comfort zone.
I have no idea where to start.
Everybody should have one of those at home.
You think so?
This is one of the most joyful days.
So comforting.
Very comforting.
Often what I want to make are things I want to share. This looks fantastic. There are easy ways to show up lovingly.
That actually is giving me goosebumps. That is so lovely.
Kids? All I can think, and this is going to make Kimmel again, OK? All I can think is somewhere, and you know what I'm going to say, in the middle of there, was there pottery?
Was there pottery?
Two people were making what looked like a penis out of pottery in the middle of that trailer. I wanted some huge... Honestly, what a load of... How is that allowed? Honestly, how to cut a piece of bread, it's just lovely. And a bunch of... Oh, God, man, she's awful. Have you seen that? Oh, talk to me.
Okay, I think what we just saw was a carbon copy of season 1, which critically was absolutely destroyed, JK. And we knew that this would likely be the case because they filmed this back to back with season 1. I want to say I recognized a couple of people in this. Chrissy Teigen is featured in this, and just some backstory. Harry and Meghan, one of the last times we actually saw them together, they were in New York campaigning against cyberbullying online. They're campaigning for children and against bullies on the internet. Chrissy Teigen told a teenage girl on Twitter to go off herself, JK. Chrissy Teigen is
that John Legend's wife?
Yes, she is the ultimate cyberbully. Why would you align yourself with her? Jay Shetty, I'm sure he's a nice guy, self-help author, podcaster, all the celebrities love him, but he's faced significant criticism and allegations regarding his authenticity, his backstory. Has he lied about his past and plagiarizing content online? He's been accused of all of these things. Why would she want to stand next to somebody who's been accused of similar things?
Because she's desperate. Because she's
similar things.
I just honestly, mate, what? Can we play that?
And did you see Jamie Kern Lima, her podcasting friend is appearing in season 2. So we're going to get more of the moans and the yes.
I want to play it again, Ryan. I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Meghan's latest Netflix trailer, With Love. See, honestly, when I hear season 2, season 1 was about fruit. This is even... Have a look at it. Have an eagle-eyed look for the phallic symbol on the pottery wheel. Have a watch.
And finding new ways to show people you care. Look at that.
Oh my gosh, I could do this every day.
Let's get creative and learn something new. Nicely done. I don't know what's happening. I'm so glad you came to show me how to do this. Is this working?
Today's about getting out of your comfort zone.
I have no idea where to start.
Everybody should have one of those at home.
You think so?
This is one of the most joyful days.
So comforting.
Very comforting.
Often what I want to make are things I want to share. This looks fantastic. There are easy ways to show up lovingly.
That actually is giving me goosebumps. That is so lovely.
Sorry, everyone should... We've got past the phallic symbol of the penis. With it. What was the thing that he said everybody should have one at home? That looked like a bit of turkey on a stick. What was that?
It seemed like it was a meat display. Now, that was Chef Jose Andres, who defended Meghan Markle after she was accused of being a disaster tourist when she was walking through the Palisades fire. He also does a lot of work with Martha Stewart and has had to sit there and like bite his tongue when Martha's asked about Meghan Markle. Yeah, but that seemed like such a insincere moment. Like that.
I think that's a really great word. I think that is the best word. It just... Who was the Who was the woman with the wig? What was that all about? Did you see her?
I don't know who that was.
She needed a haircut, man. I wouldn't want her hair in the stuff that she was making. Dreadful. But
well, I do think that was her natural hair. But what I will say is that was one of the biggest complaints from season 1, that people were like, well, her hair's up, Meghan's hair's all over the place. Like, if you're gonna be entertaining and doing this stuff, at least put your hair up, put your hair back. But again, she recorded these back to back, so she's not incorporating any of the feedback into season 2. But I can't believe you haven't mentioned her Christmas special.
Oh, well, this was yesterday. We had a whole series of what people should call it. I mean, you know, Meghan Markle's mince pie, I can't even remember, murder. This was my favourite. I'll tell you what won it. I did see my brain. What won it yesterday on Drive was Harry and Meghan's Christmas Yuletide log that you can't flush away.
That's so much nicer. I was going to go with ho, ho, ho. But if you think about like who should be giving us guidance on how to celebrate the holiday season with our family, it's not somebody that's alienated not only herself but her husband from both sides of their families. Completely. That is not somebody that I consider an expert, but in classic American commercialized tacky form, it's all just a opportunity for her to sell her limited edition Christmas products on asever.com, because they've been slowly teasing that as well. So it's just a Christmas special for them to shill Christmas, you know. Very quickly, because I'd like to talk to you all night, but I'm going to move on. I don't want to. Why are Netflix even interested in First Dibs? I don't understand it. It's crap. It's meaningless, insincere crap that's aimed only at making money. I think that it was to save them both from embarrassment, and Netflix doesn't want to have to go to their investors and explain the $100,000 return on investment failure. But I also think that there is a theory floating around that I'm confident in as well, that Netflix wants to be there for Meghan and we don't hope it does, but if the marriage were to ever fail, Netflix wants first dibs at what Meghan could potentially do in reaction to that, because you saw how bitter and vengeful that Oprah Winfrey interview was. We love having you on. I'm coming in September. I'll see you then, but we'll speak before. Listen, love you. Thank you so much indeed. The amazing Kinsey Schofield live from LA as Meghan Markle's latest Netflix track, can't even say it, I want to, With Love has just dropped. I would literally drop her and him and the whole project and their Christmas special and that straight down the bog. Back in 3. Thanks.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
7, it's that moment every single night that the female population of the United Kingdom are frantically, well, they're just grabbing their radios now. John Lucas, the night news editor known as Sarge, Sexy Sarge from The Sun. How are you, dear boy?
Very well, thank you.
Is it true you've now got an agent?
Not yet. No.
There's merchandise coming. Sexy Sarge's slinky nightwear.
T-shirts.
Anthony, JK, your face after that 44-second Meghan Markle video was priceless, mate. You haven't seen it yet, have you? Honestly.
I couldn't catch it in time before I come up.
Mate, please. And just a couple of comments about that appalling story, which I'm sure the Sun will pick up on. DC and Weymouth. How come and scumbag hasn't been deported as per last week's Labour headline? Keep up the fight, Jez. Absolutely. Sharon, the Bournemouth beach attack, the sentencing guidelines have recently been changed, I believe, to give preferential treatment to these people. That is why they are not being punished. It's a disgrace. Tomorrow, in The Sun, we do it every single night. It is the newspaper. You need to be reading it every single day. Stopping the boats. 50,000. The figure hit today since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister, July the 4th, 2024. 50,000 illegal migrants have come into this country, and by the way, not a fan of Sunak or Johnson in hindsight, quicker than they got to that bloody number.
Absolutely, yeah, and obviously that we had this vow that they were going to crack, smash the gangs and all the rest of it. We knew yesterday that it was going to pass 50,000. What we were doing, one of our top guys, Thomas Godfrey, one of our reporters, very tech-savvy guy, was actually tracking one of these blokes who was making the journey over. He seems to be an Afghan influencer. He's got about 70,000 fans on TikTok, and he was charting his whole journey across the channel into... so he's on a dinghy, and he's talking on there, and then he gets into the Manston refugee centre, the initial assessment centre, and then he's back in a hotel at the 4-star Crown Plaza Hotel near Heathrow.
He said to his followers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my dream to make it, and it's my dream to come to a hotel, and he online traced his journey, and the Sun have got it. What an exclusive.
Yeah, so we've done this all we're documenting this journey, and the crucial thing about it is it's not just one man boasting, but he's on there saying to people, and it's had 1 million views, saying, well, look, I've done it, why don't you do it? So some of the things he's saying is that your country isn't your mother, those who want to come, this is the best place, don't be stingy, live your life, tell your 4 friends to come, and why are you so stingy? Being stingy is not good for you, it's not good for God. And he says, I've come to this hotel to live, and I came here just for this. And he sort of throws his arms out and says, welcome to London. And
can't have it, mate. Honestly, I think I'm going to end up being arrested.
This chap, I mean, the Home Office are obviously going to look into this chap and see what he's all about.
Where would we be? Honestly, I'm not even... I can compliment Mike and Julia here, not myself. Where would we be without the Sun and Talk and people that are actually highlighting this crap? Because this is going on. Literally online, boasting, saying, my aim is to get to hotels. Sod all you people who are working, paying your taxes, not interested, I'm going to... It's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's promoting it. And obviously, Starmer's... the policy has been smash the gangs. This guy's online essentially trying to push people into the arms of the gangs.
I wonder whether he's going to be prosecuted. Probably not.
Well, that'll be something that, you'd like to think so.
I haven't got a lot of time. Benefits Britain. We've been doing this all day now. 8 million people are on credit, universal credit. And I made the point throughout the day that for me, the system... I wanted a system that helps people who can't help themselves, but 3.7 million of these people are in a no-work requirements category, which means don't bother about it. And I am utterly convinced that there are hundreds of thousands of people gaming the system who could actually do something in return for what we're giving them, genuinely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I won't dwell. I know you guys have been talking about it all day, but it's one of those stories. You don't need to say that much more about it. The figures are very stark. These are the number of people on these benefits not having to look for work is greater than the population of Wales now, and we know that a lot of this is to do with non-sort of tangible ailments that they have, such as anxiety. And some of the figures, I mean, in this period, the group of 55 to 59-year-olds claiming these benefits has climbed by 64%. and you've got 20 to 24-year-olds. It's climbing by 9% to 246.
You know what I think, don't you? I'm convinced that I want a system that helps people. And I think the problem is that the minute we discuss this, people go, you don't care. Yes, I do. But those people are likely to miss out because people... At 22, I'm suffering from anxiety. What about that girl that was raped on Bournemouth Beach? Nobody gives a toss. The system doesn't care about her. She's traumatised forever. You might have anxiety, but I'm sure there's something that you could do, and there's an apathy created by a system which says, oh, they're there, and yet we don't seem to help victims. Front of the Sun today, brilliant, about the Beckham feud. I wish I could tell you what I thought. Cristiano Ronaldo proposed to Georgina Rodriguez with a ring worth $4 million. Meanwhile, Nicola Peltz and Brooklyn Beckham shared pictures of their vow renewal after party. Another blow to parents David and Victoria. What is going on?
Yeah,
Do I care?
It's been a week for celebrity romance or not. I mean, Ronaldo has finally proposed to Georgina, so she's the mother of 2 of his children. Yeah. And he's got...
Wasn't a surrogate one?
Yeah, so he's got 3 other... I think he's got 3 other kids, and she's the stepmum to them. But, I mean, 9 years they've been together. That's a long time. I think within 9 years...
You and me, that's a long time.
Within 9 years, she should have proposed, surely, by now.
Do you reckon?
I think so, yeah. We've got... one of our reporters has been... I won't say his name to embarrass him. He's been with his missus 7 years, and he's primed to do it, but he keeps saying he's waiting for the right time. So
it took Ryan 7 years. I'll do it for him if you want. I don't give a toss. Listen, at the end of the day, if you do end up, you know, it's a lovely thing. I personally would just say give her the house and be done with it. So, do we know about the David? It's very weird, that whole thing.
Yeah, so they've... obviously, that's our big splash today. Yeah. Is that... Brooklyn and his wife Nicola have renewed their vows. They've been going through...
He's another one like Harry, blank whipped, definitely.
Right.
You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah, I know. And they've rubbed salt in the wounds today because they've put more pictures, wedding pictures on Instagram. So it's very horrible for the rest of the family, and it's the brother and the sister. The whole family are excluded from this. So, you know, they're celebrity royalty, proper, you know, big British A-list.
The thing is, they are, but the Peltzes are as rich can possibly be, and that, they think, has always been the issue. Finally, I love this man. Jeremy Clarkson will finally sell ketchup at his pub after a firm invented a sauce made from all British ingredients. TV star Jezza had banned the popular condiment his farmer's dog Boozer, along with coffee and Coca-Cola, has refused to sell non-UK product. But now a company in the Isle of Wight has cracked the code for producing a ketchup made purely from British tomatoes and other ingredients. I love Jeremy Clarkson. Have you been to that pub?
I haven't been there myself.
Desperate to go.
Yeah, this firm's called Condimaniacs. That is what they do, and they heard that Jeremy doesn't sell non-British stuff, so this is a challenge for them. So they've come up with this ketchup that it's Isle of Wight tomato passata, apple cider vinegar from Hampshire, and salt from Essex, plus they've got some British sugar and
I wonder
onions.
whether it tastes like ketchup. I want to try some.
Well, that's it.
Let's try and get some ketchup. But you know about the really sad thing about Jeremy, because I'm obsessed with the programme. They've got TB on the farms, closed for 2 or 3 months. They reckon. Really, really bad. What a hit! What a man! He doesn't give a flying. He is extraordinary. Many a cigarette we used to share in Manchester. JL, night news editor, Sarge, whatever you want to be called that. Continue your excellent work. Are you here tomorrow?
Not tomorrow.
Neither am I.
Oh,
we can all get on with it. I'm on breakfast with Mike in the morning. Mate, thank you so much indeed. God bless you. We'll have you on next week. As ever, the man that is John Lucas. What is it, 8 minutes to 7? 8 minutes away from Kev O'Sullivan. He's next on Talk Drive.
Why are they being housed in hotels? Why are they being clothed? Why are they being given money and free pickleball or cinema tickets or whatever it might be? We have to stop the pull factor. We are a laughing stock. We are being looked at by the rest of Europe and, in fact, the rest of the world as such a soft touch. That's why people are leaving safe countries like France to come to England.
Yeah, it is absolutely and utterly ridiculous how bad it's got. I mean, the Tories were bad enough.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's 5 to 7, so I'm blinded. Big Dave is coming in to push the buttons for Kev, has walked in a shirt that looks like it's... Oh, Jesus Christ. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm only messing. 0344 499 1000. Kev from 7. Petrie Hoskins from 10. And joining Mike Graham on Breakfast in the Morning from 6 o'clock, some old has-been called Jeremy Carl. To the phone lines, Essex Spencer, you've got 2 minutes on Talk Drive. Go.
Yeah, so I'm a veteran myself, served for the country, come out with like complex PTSD. First of all, got told that unless I was looking for asylum, I was not going to be housed, so I spent time on the streets. Got no help at all with mental health. Eventually got a bit of a war pension, but got the least amount that the government could give me, literally the lowest amount. And it absolutely makes my blood boil to think that I served and got nothing and still continue to get nothing. For me, if I had the means to get out from the country, I'd be gone. I'd be gone tomorrow.
Can I do what I said to other veterans, that I don't mean to sound soft? Thank you, buddy. Thank you for your service and thank you for what you did. And I can honestly tell you that it's calls like this that make me do this. And every single day I come here and I think we're going to have a nice, happy show. It is completely repugnant to me that a gentleman from another country can rape a girl, well, sexually assault a girl on Bournemouth Beach, and today can be spared jail, in fact be told he can stay here forever. And you, Spencer, another person who served their country, fought for king and queen and country, has been homeless and gets bugger all help. That is wrong, and that is why, my friend, we'll keep going on every single day. I so appreciate your call, and thank you so much, mate. But listen, we will keep going. 3 minutes to 7. Is Kev O'Sullivan coming in, or is he just going to stand by the door all evening? How good. Straight bang, 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 bang. Now, he's looking very smart. Looks like he's been in court today. Oh, something's gone on there. It's all gone a bit wrong. Kevin, intoxicated Nigerian man.
I know the story. It's shocking. Funny enough, completely coincidentally...
I've got your biscuits here, though.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm going to do a story tonight also about soft-touch judges, particularly immigration judges.
Who's telling these judges that this guy, just quickly to me, right? So this guy gets off, he's allowed to stay in Britain forever, and the girl who was a teenager is traumatised for life. Who's telling these judges?
It's their culture. They've grown up in liberal, modern, Guardian-reading Britain. They've come from universities. Universities teach them how to be like this. The immigration tribunal judges are making ridiculous decisions. I'm going to focus on a guy tonight who made this decision. A guy turns up from Sudan saying, I'm 16 years old, so you've got to help little old me. The authorities, the Home Office, the immigration people said, yeah, we can't help noticing that you've got grey receding hair. When it went to an immigration case, the judge said, well, yes, he does look older than his years. He does have grey hair and receding hair, but he is telling the truth, in my view, about being 16 because the years have been hard on him because of the harrowing nature of his long journey from Sudan. These are the kind of